my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching, thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. You know, I do recall that way back in the days of Derail, that Drew used to record the pre-show chats, the chatter, the conversation that goes on. You kind of release that as like a bonus feature on Patreon or something. Boy, am I glad.
You know, you only say that when I say stuff that's actually something that could look bad for me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe one of these days we'll have this conversation with all these folks again, and we can put it out there.
So instead of a post show, the pre-show or pre-gaming.
Yeah. I mean, if I was still using like
or
whatever the stuff I was using before,
if I may interject real quick on that thought, don't do it as a pre-show. Do it as a post-show and call it the Harsh Truth Happy Ending. That could be a great title for that too.
Good.
Just saying. You know.
That's a possibility. But welcome all to tonight's show with our special guest, Dr. Garbage Man. What's going on, brother?
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited. I got the text last week. I was like, yes, I will do this. It was nice to watch the movie. I made my wife sit through it. She wasn't too impressed, but she indulged my curiosity watching it, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to talking about it. Thanks for having me.
And of course, the dour countess, Lady Cora. How are you tonight, ma'am?
I'm great. Happy to share skeletons from my closet with you, gentlemen. Happy to be here.
You know, Cora seems so nice and pure. I always say that her and Rachel are the ones who bring a little bit of class to this joint, and then she goes, "That's something like she did."
If you want to know what we talked about in the pre-show, I'm going to suggest you watch Alex and the Garbage Man's show on a different channel. Another night. When is it going to be? I don't even know.
This will probably come up Thursday.
Yeah, it'll be Thursday. You have to simulcast with the boys, what you guys are doing and us, because we'll fill you guys in. So you're going to learn some shit.
I'm not very happy about this shit, but it's life. Whatever.
And I'm not even gonna tell him until we go live, just to get his.
Oh
feet.
no!
Oh no! Oh, okay, no more, because he's gonna listen to this, so now he's gonna be kind of iggy. So
we don't want Alex to know just yet. We're gonna surprise him with this live on the air. And my other life mate, Jeremy, what's up, brother?
You know, I'm glad we didn't do a pre-show, because if you all just heard what came out of Cora's mouth like we all did, yeah, it's not something you should Google, but maybe we'll just keep that between us. She's already got that lifestyle of what happens in Vegas is definitely staying over there in Vegas. So thank God for that.
Let's change the subject. How's the room renovations and settling in going?
I wish I could tell everybody what it was, because you don't left turn from that to how's your house going?
She's trying desperately to change the subject.
You know, Tex, I know you love this shit. And I just don't care right now.
I don't. Look, I'm just here to upset all of the Christian-oriented people, as Frank so.
He's a dog chasing cars. He wouldn't know what to do if he caught one. You know, so
no. Look, I don't really care.
He's a dog himself.
I don't know how I'm the one to get called out, but whatever, man. You do you.
And the shape of the Lone Star State Army and Tex. What's up, brother?
Well, you know, in most conversations, normally I'm the weird one, but now I'm looking at Cora like, maybe I'm not doing so bad. But I know that's what I'm saying.
I was like, I'm pretty sure Tex is worse than I am, but okay.
Yeah, like normally I'm the sore thumb in the room, but dang, I'm like, good little church boy compared to some. I need to up my game. I'm kind of vanilla over here, so But no, I mean on not to bring it down too much, but I do have to mention now there were multiple deaths this week, but the one that hit me the hardest that actually, I mean, it wasn't surprising because he was 98 years old, but we did lose the great Roger Corman. For the ones that don't know, everybody from Francis Ford Coppola to Jack Nicholson to even Ron Howard, so many people he put into the business, so many of your favorite movies he probably produced or made at some level or even distributed. So rest in peace to Roger Corman, one of the greats. Gone but never forgotten, sir. So thank you for your films. I will say that. So.
Yeah, I've said it a million times. I think you guys agree with me for the most part. Is that horror lends itself to low budget B movies? It seems like some of the best horror movies, whatever subgenre of horror that they are, have been the ones that were made for bus fare. And Roger Corman was the guy that made so many of those movies. And it's not like it's not like other young directors are just now figuring out Roger Corman and stuff like that. It's like Scorsese, who is not known for being a big horror director. You know, guys who are Hall of Famers, who are legends, living gods in the activity of directing, are like Roger Corman is the one that showed me how to make movies. Because
John Carpenter even tweeted, if it wasn't for Roger Corman, he wouldn't have been who he was. When John Carpenter gives you that kind of cred, you're something. You know what I
mean? Yeah, the impact isn't just big box office, big budgets, and having your name in a bunch of big movies. The impact is you know, when you get to be Roger Corman's age, what was he, 98 or something when he passed away, and
98.
And you've got 10 of the top 15 directors of all time, at least of the last 50 or 60 years. When you've got them singing your praises and saying, you know, that this was a significant loss to the industry and to the art, then yeah, you've made your mark somehow. He didn't have to have a movie that made $1 billion at the box office or cost $250 million. He was a true auteur. He was a true great visionary director, and it's a significant loss. So go pick a Roger Corman movie or two over the course of the next few weeks and just watch the storytelling. Watch the way that he could turn even some very simple practical effects into a really crazy, intense scene that is visually stunning at times. But yeah, definitely a big loss. Roger Corman. Also, not to be ignored. I mean, one of the iconic scenes in all of horror movies. The first death in Jaws. I'm drawing a blank on the girl's name. Why am I drawing a blank?
Oh, yeah.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah.
But the girl who played in that scene just passed away at 70-something years old. And I was thinking to myself, you know, she had done some acting, some modeling. She never became like a huge name. But I was like,
but that's a scene that sticks with you. That opening, you know her. Yeah.
If you've seen that movie even one time and you see her start to swim through the water,
it's like Backlinney.
Yes.
Backlinney.
Mm-hmm. There's a certain dread that, I mean, especially if you've seen the movie before, maybe even more so if you've never seen the original Jaws before. When you see her swimming, there's a sense of dread that builds up in that scene that is almost unmatched by any other film in history. And she is the woman that made that scene. Her terrified look. I mean, that was
first couple minutes. She sold it.
Eyes. Yeah, that's selling a scene in a
Although
way
it's
few actresses could.
I mean, I don't know how much of it's acting when you're actually in pain and getting yanked back and forth on this beach. I mean, it's partly acting, partly she's actually freaking the fuck out. But yeah,
and
they call that method. I think
I've said this before. We used to swim across a lake back home, and it would scare the hell out of me when you're swimming across the lake and like that scene would just pop up in your head. And you're like, oh, crap, right? Like, you know, you'd be scared shitless, right?
I swim across the swimming pool and I'm like, oh,
excuse me for 1 second.
I was up in Washington State in the Puget Sound, which is technically like ocean water, but really it's just like an inlet of sorts. And there was, I was at a summer camp. I was 17 and they had netted off like a large area around a dock. So things couldn't get in and out, but it was very deep. And I was like doing laps and I went out to the edge of the last net and I had a panic attack thinking a shark was going to come and get me. I froze and I almost like couldn't move. And someone saw me and they're like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, it was a moment. So yeah. I've had that happen myself.
Yeah, it's definitely it was definitely a tough week for some losses, especially. But yeah, it's go watch movies. Go watch movies, folks, because these performances are caught on celluloid now to be enjoyed and shared for eternity, and we hope for as long as the human race exists.
Jaws still scares the shit out of people to this day. Yeah,
Jaws is still one of the most terrifying movies ever.
That will put it in your head.
For that reason,
paranoid. You start swimming, like it'll mess with you. Yeah.
Isn't it credited for giving people fear of swimming in the first place?
Yeah. Like, I'm not afraid of swimming, but I'm just like, but it still messes with your head. You're like, oh, there's sharks in here. Like,
the year Jaws came out, it was so effective and scary that it actually affected beach-going vacation areas. Their numbers were down that year because people were afraid of a shark they saw in a movie. If you could do that nowadays, it'd be great, but we're so numb to things that, you know, we've seen it all. So, yeah, it's crazy.
That's what happened to to Rachel's parents, a quick story is they were both working at like a summer camp that year when that movie came out, and they were scheduled to have a night swim later, and they were like, "Oh, let's go watch this movie," and they watched Jaws, and they didn't do the night swim. So
They were canceled.
real quick on that one.
Yeah, my hometown in California, they do this summer movie thing where it's like every Friday night they'll put up a big inflatable screen up on the beach and they'll play a movie. And the two movies they always end with is one of them is Jaws, the last one's The Lost Boys. And you're sitting on a beach watching Jaws on a big inflatable screen, and 5 feet to your left is the ocean. And you're like, you keep looking at it like looking for fins. You're like, is that what's that? What's that?
I haven't ever watched. I've always wanted to watch Jaws in a wave pool. I've already seen Friday the 13th outside, like in like the woods type area. So I've seen Jason outside in the woods. But I need to see Jaws from a swimming pool. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But that's on my bucket list of things.
You enjoy that for me. How's that?
I did the same thing, Tex. We watched Friday the 13th 6 the night after.
Oh, isn't it so much fun to do?
It was awesome.
Oh,
it was
God, it's cool. Yeah.
It was my 20th birthday and Alex's 19th. And the night after, we stayed out there again. We had a generator. We set up a TV and everything. And we watched episode 6. Or I guess, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I love part 6.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Love it.
But tonight we're here to talk about some other much cheesier horror comedy movie. And that is Critters. That's the 1986 American science fiction comedy horror film directed by Stephen Herek in his directorial debut, co-written with Domonic Muir. It stars the great Dee Wallace, the late Emmet Walsh, Billy Green Bush, and a very young Scott Grimes in his film debut. The plot follows a group of small furry aliens with carnivorous behavior escaping from two shape-shifting bounty hunters and landing in a small countryside town to feast on its inhabitants. Critters was theatrically released on April 11, 1986 by New Line Cinema, opening across the United States in 633 theaters, where it eventually earned $1.6 million in its opening weekend, ultimately grossing a little over $13 million in the box office against a budget of just $3 million, making it a financial success. The film would spawn a Critters franchise consisting of 3 sequels and a web series titled Critters: A New Binge, released on Shudder. A 5th entry, Critters Attack, serves as a reboot of the series. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a 51% approval rating based on 49 reviews, with an average of 5.4 out of 10. The site's consensus review reads, quote, "While Critters ekes out some fun from a game cast and screwball tone, the titular monsters fail to deliver the credible menace that makes a creature feature satisfying." I don't know if I don't know if I get that exactly, but let me get your guys' thoughts real quick. I'll go to you first, Lady Cora. Give me some quick thoughts on Critters.
It is Black and White Lassie TV show meets Gremlins with the quality of Sharknado on Sci-Fi Network.
I wouldn't have said it was that bad.
It's better than Sharknado, but I mean,
hey, you speak for yourself. Sharknado is a glorious franchise, and I have seen every one of them.
It is, but it's not.
Speak for yourself.
It's a difference in quality.
I'm saying the production quality is of that level. Okay, cable TV movie. But yeah, it's very much Lassie family farm experience meets alien gremlins. I don't know, something like that. That's what I would say.
I don't know. Jay, give me some of your quick thoughts on Critters.
I definitely have more fun with this movie, and I'm not going to keep downplaying Big Trouble with Little China. I'm just like, oh yeah, same year, but this was also kind of just, it was more entertaining. It wasn't trying to breakneck speed me with this whole movie. It at least had like a laid out pacing that I thought maybe went on for a little too long. I was like, I get it, yeehaw family in nowhere, Kansas. And I'm glad he put more critters that we need more critters. I literally said out loud, like, are they going to show up? And then there comes the spaceship. Like, oh, there we go. Jesus, I was getting tired of like, did you shoot your sister with a slingshot, boy? I'm like, I don't care at this point. Just get to it. Come on. But I enjoyed it, and it was fun, even though they reminded me of, I'm sure I'm talking to probably just myself here, my age group. But they remind me of the little like Puffles from Club Penguin, but like mixed with Sonic the Hedgehog,
or what Tribbles from Star Trek.
Yeah, well, at first this movie started out like it was
like the Tribbles from hell.
Yeah, it's like they started out like with Star Wars-y Star Trek, and I'm like, I'm here for that. That's kind of fun.
I know cool. What they are. I'm sorry to interrupt. real quick.
Okay.
They're tribbles from a Star Trek alternate universe sent to Earth way before Starfleet days.
Well, I mean, this is way before Starfleet because I don't think Kirk's been born quite yet.
No.
Yeah,
still got a number of years
21 something.
Yeah, in Riverside. So I don't think we're there yet. It could be. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially Gremlins without trying to be Gremlins, even though it kind of is. But I still think they kind of worked. It's still kind of like weird, goofy home invasion of these little furballs that just roll around. And I mean, I don't know. I try to think past like Tech said, like we've seen so much stuff now at this point, and you look back on it and you're like, this is kind of goofy. But I'm like, I don't know. What would you do if some little fuzzball just attacked you in your basement? Like, I don't know. Oh, wait, I know. I'd grab one of those 3 fucking guns you had on your mantle the entire fucking movie. I'm sorry. I'm so mad. I'm like, first time.
There were 3 people
whatever.
Without the daughter. They each could have had a rifle.
I know. That's exactly what I said. I'm like, all of you could have had a gun. First of all, I didn't believe that Farmer Brown here went out in his field just with his flashlight and his son and no gun. He did mention it. I was like, okay. He's like, I'm not going to check without my gun. I'm like, okay. Then you went down to the basement without it, got fucked up, and you came back. Oh, now I should grab my gun. Like, I don't. This movie could have been over a lot faster too. I don't know. But I mean, besides that, no, it was a fun movie. Just low budget, just goofy 80s sci-fi home invasion of these little alien creatures. So.
I don't know. Tex, how about you? Give us some quick thoughts on Critters.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this franchise. I've seen the first 4. I think the 4th one came out in 2021 or 19. It was one of those years. I can't remember. Was it 19? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was 19.
But yeah, I'm a fan of this franchise. It's fun. There was a lot of movies like this. I mean, you had Gremlins, of course, is the one everybody knows. You had Critters. You had Ghoulies.
Trolls.
I like Ghoulies. Huh?
Trolls.
Yeah.
Trolls, yeah.
Troll
Critters is, a lot of people tend to like Gremlins more just because I think they know that franchise better. Critters, to me, is a better franchise than Gremlins is. And it's a fun, just this movie alone. It's a fun 80s watch. I love a good creature feature. I like the farm setting with the yeehaw people because I am one of those yeehaw people, so it's all good. And, I mean, it says Kansas, but you could put a Lone Star State flag on there, and I'd believe that I live there. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But, yeah, I think my only real gripe with the movie is how do you have that hot of a father's daughter having a makeout scene with her boobs almost out and they don't come out? Like, I got to take negative points away for no boobs. But
I was more upset that they were still just making out for that whole time.
Friendly movie. This isn't a titty
film. But come on, she's slinging them things. She's slinging them things around, and they're just barely holding in that little farmer daughter top. And you're telling me that they didn't think about that. Come on now. I don't know. Like I said, good film. We needed farmer's daughter boobs. That's all I'm saying.
Whatever. You would have got farmer's daughter's boobs. Be like, well, he didn't tear the dad apart enough. Although he got messed up pretty. I mean, he really got
fucked up.
Yeah.
His body's gonna have some holes missing, right?
Man, he ruined a really good Ghostbusters shirt, joke of the Pin Busters. That was pretty fucking fun.
Right.
I want one of those bowling shirts that has the Pin Busters. I really want one now.
Let's go to Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick, give me some of your quick thoughts before we get into the spoiler stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna. They stole my thunder. You guys, the first thing I thought in that makeout scene was, this is taking way too long. Like, why are they not doing it? Like, there's way too much for.
Thank you. Thank you.
His allergies where he's sneezing. He needs to be able to breathe. Does nobody else think about that?
No. They don't go.
I wasn't thinking about. No.
You don't go into the barn if you have allergies.
He as it kept going, he goes, "Oh, but you have allergies." So his allergies
okay, Cora,
would get worse, and he wouldn't be able to.
Cora, I can solve this.
Mouth kissing her.
I know you're not a man, so I will tell you how a man reads this. When that hot of a woman says, "Hey, let's go do stuff in the barn," even if you're deathly allergic to hay, by God, you go and you deal with it afterwards. Thank you.
Yeah. You go get a shot.
Well, I'm not disagreeing that that's like. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. They should have just taken the allergy line out. It really drove me nuts.
Okay, and then more critters were needed. I thought.
Yes, I agree.
Overall, and like I remember Tex on the show when I said I was coming on here, you said Gremlins or Critters over Gremlins, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember liking, and I just watched the trailer for number 2. I'm gonna watch number 2 just to see how much more critters there are. If you're going one off, Gremlins 1 versus Critters 1, I like Gremlins better because there were more Gremlins. Like once the Gremlins were presented, they were in the bar, they were doing all that crazy shit.
They literally took over a whole town.
Yeah. Whereas like
and they talked, by the way, and we got subtitles. Like what the fuck?
Like it was hilarious when they dropped.
We got the one F-bomb.
When the one gets dropped, the F-bomb.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Now I will say the critters remind me, and I was trying to find a picture of it on the Masters of the Universe page, that they look like that weird creature that like they made for that universe. Movie like, for the new figures. I can't find a picture of this guy to even.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That's who he totally reminded me of. The Critters did, but it was a fun movie. The cheesy 80s, I love it. I love that the campy, and again the gun thing. Like, yeah, it's America. You're not going out without a gun.
I'll skin you alive and hang you up to dry, boy.
Yeah, like, geez.
Tex can vouch for this. I lived out in the country. You hear weird noises at night. You're packing too.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And what Jeremy said a minute ago was correct. There ain't no way that old man's going out there with a flashlight and his boy without taking his artillery with him. He's going to look like RoboCop if that really happened. That's how it really would have went down.
Yeah, I found a picture of that weird creature thingy. But yeah, like from the Masters of the Universe. Right. That's what I think they look like. Red, can I share this really quick, Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I think that they kind of look like. Like it almost looked like they were, it's a year after Critters. And my share didn't work. Oh, there we go. That's what I think kind of look like.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like that's like right away. I'm
I can see it.
Just the face, yeah.
Yeah, in the face area, yeah.
That looks like
I'm so used to be able to share everything.
Tales from the Crypt Host guy. From that TV show, from the books.
The Crypt Keeper?
Tales of the Crypt guy. Yeah.
But you got to remember the movie Masters of the Universe, a lot of the characters were a big departure from the cartoons.
They most definitely were. Like, that was Masters of the Universe, the quest for more money.
Yeah.
Kind of like Transformers. They keep coming out with the new movies and new figures and cars and stuff. So,
but let's talk about the director, Stephen Herek, for just a minute. Now, if I read you this list of movies, you would think to yourself, these are some pretty good ones. You got Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, a fun, goofy movie, The Mighty Ducks, a classic, Three Musketeers, which I think is a wildly underrated film. The one with Charlie Sheen.
I really like that one. Yeah.
Wildly rated. Mr. Holland's Opus, which actually got an Oscar nomination for Best Lead Actor. Then the 101 Dalmatians movie with Glenn Close, and then the movie Rockstar, which I still think is one of the two great films by Mark Wahlberg. That and Boogie Nights, I think are his two best films. Those are all directed by this guy, Stephen Herek. It's kind of odd because you look at this, and you're like, wait a minute. Some of the bangers from the 90s were this guy. It's like a large amount of them were this guy.
So this is his directorial debut too, by the way.
This was. So it's like
start somewhere.
And for some reason, after he hits like the early 2000s, he kind of moves into the straight to DVD and TV area and just kind of starts to live there. But I mean, if I just read you this list of movies and said, those are some of the movies that were all directed by the same guy, I think to myself, that's a fairly impressive, fairly successful list. I don't know, Nick. Am I missing something? Why did this guy decide to go into the kind of demote himself to the minor leagues of filmmaking when he had some of these on his resume?
I don't get it. Like, because those are great movies.
Yeah.
Like that Three Musketeers, not enough people talk about that movie. I thought it was awesome. It had great comic relief in it. It was awesome. And Rockstar, again, I'll agree with you. That and Boogie Nights are like Mark Wahlberg's best movies. Those are my favorite movies. And again, not enough people talk about those movies. It's weird. Like Yeah,
He
and then
did
like,
Rush Hour. Rush Hour was hella funny.
did he do Rush Hour too?
Oh, I guess he did TV series.
He did the TV series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's done plenty of TV as well.
And Mr. Holland's Opus is actually one of my dad's favorite movies. My dad loves that movie. And I would have never guessed the guy that brought us Critters did Mr. Holland's Opus.
And do you know what, Tex? I'm looking at the list of all the movies he's directed. I don't think any of them have bare titties. So I think he's a fantastic director.
Yeah, you gotta take it up with him then.
Well, Rockstar had a couple of scenes in it that were on the edge.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
There's a girl that stands up to pee. I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
But yeah, the guy, I don't know, Tex, the guy put out some 90s bangers. I mean, look, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead is not exactly knocking on the door of
I grew up
the Oscar or anything, but I mean, some of these were good.
I grew up loving Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead because one of the first horror films I ever saw was Halloween 4, which starred a young Daniel Harris, and I was a young guy, and I had the crush on Daniel Harris, and she's in that film, so I would watch the crap out of that anytime that I could. That was by far out of his filmography my go-to. Now, to Cora's point about him not putting boobs in films, that may be true, but he does come close because he directed a film called Man of the House, which was about the University of Texas college football cheerleaders. Even though I can't stand the Texas Longhorns, I will watch a cheerleader film. So I did watch that. But, you know, it counts. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, he doesn't have the biggest career, but, I mean, the guy works, you know. And, I mean, how many directors just don't like get one or two? This guy at least had a career, you know what I mean? So you have to give him credit for that at the least. So,
he probably gets a lot of royalty checks. That's all I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I also see here that he did the 101 Dalmatians, the 96 version. So,
nice.
Giving him any.
I mean, if you think about it, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, I don't think was Disney. But Mike Duck's Three Musketeers, 101 Dalmatians were all Disney properties. So, like in the 90s, he was the guy.
Yeah. True. Did he just do the one?
But
I
mean,
not.
Yeah, and in all this, he directs Mr. Holland's Opus, the 1995 film, which ends up getting a Oscar nomination for Richard Dreyfuss.
Mm-hmm.
He got nominated for, was it Best Actor he got nominated for? I forget.
Didn't Mighty Ducks get some non-Oscar like awards?
Yeah, that won a lot of Golden Globes and stuff like that. But
Quack. I can't hear the Mighty Ducks and not do the quack thing in my head. So.
Well, yeah, Tex only likes the one with that cowboy kid that like lassos people on the ice. Yeah. But
that's number 2.
Is that number 2?
Yeah, that's number 2. Yeah.
I'm trying to find, but yeah, I mean, I forget if he got Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor. I think it may have been Best Actor. But yeah, Richard Dreyfuss got an Oscar nomination for that movie. So the guy directed a movie that got an Oscar nomination for the actor. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know, Jeremy. What do you think? I mean, a lot of these movies they're in your decade of the '90s, and a lot of them I got to give a lot of love to. I mean, which one of these was your favorite?
Well, I guess it's not really a contest. I mean, obviously, I watched the 101 Dalmatian movie when I was a kid, the one with Glenn Close, and I don't really know what that sequel was about, but it happened, I guess.
It was about money. 101
Dalmatians. That's cash grab. That's called.
You mean all of Disney now?
Yeah.
Well, even then, I don't know. I mean, the Dalmatian puppy doesn't have any spots. She's cute, but I don't know what we're doing with this weird psychological. I mean, I know Cruella de Vil's twisted in the brain, but like, I don't even know. I can't explain. If I told you that was the plot of the movie, you'd probably think I was insane. But
you know that song Cruella de Vil was the ringtone for my mother when I was a younger adult.
Tell us how you really feel, Cora. Tell us how you really feel.
She thought she skinned puppies or something. Apparently, that's
right.
I don't know. I would say that one that sticks out of my head because that's something I enjoyed when I was a kid. I thought it was a fun movie, a fun adaptation because I saw the cartoon version too. It was back in like the 60s, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, But yeah, you can't say the guy didn't. He's got a good spread. He makes some good movies. And again, just off the ones we listed, I mean, I don't know. We don't know the reasons, but it's weird. Like some of these guys do, you make a hell of a career out of it, and then you just kind of maybe it's something he didn't want to do as much, or just something it wasn't making what he wanted to make or something. I don't know, but like you said, go watch movies. We have this stuff to still enjoy and just keep watching because there's some good ones out there.
Yeah, he also did some on his TV stuff. He did some episodes of the new MacGyver TV series, which I never watched because I'm like, I grew up on the old MacGyver. I don't know how you can ever top that.
Not the same.
Yeah.
So my question then would be like, do you think maybe they do this and jump to TV to get like the residuals from the reruns and whatnot?
I don't know. I would assume that it's mostly a creative thing because making TV, because remember, he's not directing every episode of a TV series. I think he directed like 1 or 2 episodes of like the Dallas reboot that came out a few years ago. A couple episodes of the new MacGyver,
Hawaii Five-0, the new one.
Hawaii Five-0, he did an episode of that. But I don't know because I know that it's very different directing one episode of TV.
But that's a steady paycheck though, directing episodes of TV shows.
It can be, yeah.
Put on the table.
Because a lot of times if you get in with the showrunners, like you'll direct an episode or 2 a season. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to have that to always fall back on. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I don't really know what it's I know the major difference is the time you can put into doing a feature film as opposed to an episode of TV.
Sure.
An episode of TV, you're looking at a couple months of work, whereas a feature film, you're looking at a year or more.
Maybe
That's if it's a relatively low budget film.
Right.
If you're talking about something bigger, you're looking at 2 years or more of work just to get it to the screen.
And distribution-wise, Frank, a TV episode's going to get aired. A movie might not get distributed.
Yeah, it's still fairly rare for them not to put a movie out there. I mean, Batgirl, stuff like that can happen, but I mean, for the most part,
there's straight to video stuff. I mean,
there's a lot of straight to video stuff.
That's true.
It's pretty rare.
But there's also a lot of movies that get shelved for years at a time, though, too.
That's still pretty.
That happens quite a bit. Yeah,
that's still pretty rare. I mean, even the super low budget. I mean, maybe some of the really low budget stuff that's made for like $500,000 or less. They might be more inclined to throw some of those away because that's a pretty small investment. When you're talking about like Batgirl, let's say spend God knows how much money on, that was a huge write-off for them. It's pretty rare
they
for
probably
anything.
just made the movie to get the tax write-off. Just saying.
Well, not a bad gig. I mean, that probably wasn't something.
Yeah, there's 2 words for that. It's called money laundering.
Well, you couldn't get the tax write-off because it was probably profitable, so you can get the tax write-off. So that's my guess.
Not profitable if you don't fucking make it though.
Yeah, it probably only needed to make about $4 million to be profitable, and it made 13, just over 13. So I don't know if you're going to write that off, but yeah, let's talk about the cast now. And the cast was fantastic. I mean, a young Scott Grimes, sure, but you've got Dee Wallace. Dee Wallace, who already at this point was already. Kind of a scream queen, not quite, but not quite to the level of like Heather Landekamp and stuff like that, or Jimmy Lee Curtis. But she had been I think she had done Cujo already at this point.
Like she took on Cujo, man.
Yeah. No, are you kidding me? She did. She was in The Howling, the original Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Cujo. There were 3 or 4. She's a horror icon. Hell. Rob Zombie's put her in 3 or 4 of his movies in the last 10 years or so, or whatever.
Well, hey,
she's done it. She's in a horror.
She was in The Little Mermaid.
Who watches The Little Mermaid? Come on, that's
the stunned silence.
If you're talking about the old one, sure.
That's the
only thing that makes me want to watch that new Little Mermaid movie, though. I'm like, oh, Dee Wallace is in it? Okay. She was actually just on an episode of Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum, where she talked a lot about her career and stuff. I was pretty wrapped up in that podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll go to you first, Cora. A cast, it had a couple of young up-and-comers in it. Obviously, Scott Grimes. We talked a little bit earlier about Billy Zane before we went live. This is one of his first feature films that he was a part of. But obviously Dee Wallace, the big star, and Emmet Walsh were the 2 people who were probably the most well-known when this movie was released. What do you think of the cast and who stood out to you?
Well, Billy Zane's kind of wonderful. Just saying. You know, I saw him back in Twin Peaks. He was in Tombstone. He was in Back to the Future. I mean, and he's very handsome. So I enjoyed seeing him. And Scott Grimes, I saw him in Justified. He did a very small role towards the end of the series. Very good. But I know he was big on other shows like American Dad, ER, and Party 5. Never watched those. But he was, I have to say, for a child actor, he did an amazing job being maybe one of the top lead characters with most lines. He was really good. He was really good. And the sister was all right. The dad and the sheriff were just corny as all fuck, but I'm sure they were written that way. And that's the fun of it. But it was a good ensemble cast, and nobody stood out horribly acting, except for maybe the critters, you know, because, you know, how are they supposed to know how to act because they're aliens? But it was pretty good. I liked it.
Leave it up to Cora to blame the puppets for being bad actors.
Right.
The puppets were not good actors.
They really weren't.
But I don't know. Jay, what do you think? Again, Dee Wallace and Emmet Walsh. I mean, two people that were already stars at this point. But again, a cast that a lot of them would go on to have great success. Who stood out to you the most?
Yeah, I think Cora stole my answer. I know we're looking back now on retrospect, but I was gonna say Billy Zane as well, because you know, this is what, a year after Back to the Future, where he's not just standing there, you know, chortling it up with his greaser buddies with a toothpick in his mouth, beating up, you know, George McFly and hanging around with Biff Tannen in every alternate universe of 1985, apparently. Yeah, I saw him. He was in that too. And obviously he goes on to do stuff like Titanic and some bigger stuff. So it's like it's cool that he had more than you know, a bigger part in this, actually speaking and doing some stuff. And I will say, I think he probably got the biggest genuine laugh out of me when they're still in the barn making out, and then they come down to Earth and they think it's an earthquake, and she goes, "The Earth moved." And he goes, "Oh, already?" Like, just doesn't miss a fucking beat. Already? I was like, dude.
I laughed too. And he's basically saying,
great.
Does she even know what sex is? That's what he's basically saying.
They apparently had the talk years ago, so I guess she does. So
years ago? And he says it like with this long question mark.
I know, right? She's like 12 teen. We had it years ago.
right.
And, you know, in the middle of the night, let her go off with some strange guy from New York. You know, nobody
Even if
cares.
it's Billy Zane, and a cool
I've had my fair share of farmers' daughters. That was not her first roll in the haze. You know what I'm saying? She knew what she was doing. So
She's
fine.
the tape deck and the candle lamp sitting up there waiting. Like, she set the fucking mood, all right?
Oh, yeah.
She's the type of girl that nowadays keeps the condoms in her back pocket. Just saying. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Don't worry about it. No, I know what you were talking about earlier, and that's not what you need for that.
Yeah, condoms are for sailors.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
I was say something else. It'd be a lot funnier, but
for people whose pull-out game is weak.
Well, you could have said condoms are for pussies, and that still would have been funny. But
well, from a medical standpoint, pull-out game doesn't work because pre-cum actually has a higher concentration of semen. Just saying. Anyway.
Well, wait to step on my joke there, Cora.
They say people aren't watching this for our medical advice. They're watching this to be entertained.
Obviously not.
Clearly.
Well, yeah. No,
that doesn't change the fact that your pull-out game would be weak.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, Lord.
But
anyway.
Tex, what do you think? Again, plenty of people in this movie plenty of great acting jobs in this movie, especially a young Scott Grimes. Who stood out to you the most?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's plenty here, but I have to go with the obligatory Dee Wallace. I mean, she's a horror queen. I wouldn't really call her a scream queen. She doesn't quite fit the final girl model. She's the mom in the horror film. Hell, she got to be Mrs. Strode in one of my favorite films, Rob Zombie's Halloween. She got to be Laurie Strode's mother. I mean, Rob Zombie was such a fan of her, he casted her in that film. And, I mean, she was in Devil's Rejects. She was in his Lords of Salem, and I believe she was also in 31. I believe he's casted her in a bunch of stuff. But no, Dee Wallace in this film was amazing. Like once Dad is kind of incapacitated, he's got the paralyzation darts and crap and whatever. She takes that shotgun and she goes to town, buddy. She's more deadly than he is in this movie when it comes to killing the critters and stuff. And the acting that she does whenever April gets took by the critters at the end of the film, and Dad's like,
window,
yeah,
crying.
Yeah. Whenever Dad's having to drag her out, and he just basically chunks her into the back seat. I'm like, oh crap! Hope she ducked her head because that looked pretty rough there for a second. But
I really thought April was gone for. I thought she was going to die the way the mom's reaction was. Just saying.
Oh yeah, no, she sold that well. Like she just watched her get her head get ripped off or something. And I mean, very powerful. She, it shows the experience that Dee Wallace has in playing a mom, especially in these kind of films, because she's done it so many times. I mean, just go watch how she acts in once again Rob Zombie's Halloween. Whenever Michael comes into the house and Michael looks at a picture of Laurie and she's like, oh no, like she's playing it very similar to how she does in this film. She does amazing work. So yeah, Dee Wallace is great. I've always been a fan of hers. She's in Critters 3 and 4. I can't remember if she's in 2 or not.
How many
but she
are there?
There's 5.
5 in total, but I've seen 4 of them. So yeah,
it's based on a comic book or something else.
Critters. There's a comic book series that's out about it, but it came out after the rest of it. Critters 1 and 2 are good. 3 is not great. 4, it's like obviously it was one of the movies they made just to hold on to rights. I haven't seen the new one, Critters Attacks. I don't know exactly where to find it. I'll have to look around. And I really, honestly, I'm thinking about getting Shudder just to watch Critters, a new binge, to see if that web series is.
You should get, dude. I love Shudder. Shudder is my favorite subscription service.
That's where you can watch
hands down,
and it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I may have to get Shudder just to see if this series, if this reboot is any good.
It's like $6 a month, dude. It's cheap and it's great.
Isn't that where Joe Bob Briggs text?
Yes, Joe Bob Briggs right here. He has his show, The Last Drive-In, my favorite show to watch on television. Every other Friday night now, he presents a movie just like he did back in the Monster Vision days on TNT. So, hell yeah.
I don't know, Dr. Nick, what do you think? Again, we've talked this cast up a lot. What did you like about the cast? Who stuck out to you most?
Well, first I'll say this: I couldn't find it up in Canada, the movie, so it cost me $4 to rent it. So $6 for a whole channel of horror is definitely worth it, without a doubt.
Shudder is in Canada.
Yeah, I've seen it, but the one I just because how cheesy it was. What's his face? I just had it here. Terrence Mann, the guy that played Johnny Steele, the Ugg, was just so.
Oh
cheesy.
yeah, he was great.
I loved it. He was just so. He looks like if you ordered. Buddy from Rocky Horror Picture and It, the original.
He's like a Wish version of Axl Rose.
He looks like he'd be Tim Curry's little brother.
We said that too. We're like, there's one shot where from the side, we're like, holy crap, he looks like Tim Curry a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I totally thought. With the awesome Power of Night video at the beginning, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally invested because I love me some cheesy 80s music. So, and he was actually in a series later. I don't know if you guys ever talked about it. It was Sense8. It was on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed the series until the last episode because the Netflix did the old "we're done, wrap the series up." But yeah, he was one of the villains in it. And if you want to watch a good series until the last episode, Sense8, and he's in there as a whisperer. I didn't even recognize him, of course, because he doesn't have the awesome bouffant or whatever you call that thing. But yeah, you guys already said everything needs to be said about the cast. I thought it was, again, a good, cheesy 80s with the Scream Queens and the Scream Queen, and like Cora said, the kid did a great job with all the dialogue he had. He did a really good job for a young man. I thought
or whatever.
Yeah. I really enjoyed what it was. I liked.
Who played Who played the town drunk guy that could hear the aliens in his feelings? Was that Jack or who was that? Because he was really good too.
Believe it or not, while he's done some acting, he mostly that part was written for him. This is part of one of the things I have in trivia. That part was actually written for him because he was friends with Stephen Herek and Domonic Muir.
His name was.
So they actually wrote that part for him.
I mean, he kind of plays like if you take it back to Andy Griffith days, Otis the town drunk. He plays the town drunk guy that he does it so much that they leave the front of the cell open that he lets himself in. It was that kind of thing. I thought he was cool too. That was pretty funny.
He's like that old man in the Friday the 13th series, just telling everybody, "This is, you're gonna die. This is gonna happen."
Crazy Ralph,
and then it happens.
You're all doomed.
You're all doomed. Yeah. It's got a death code.
Crazy Ralph was a peeper, by the way. Go watch Friday Part 2. He's waiting in the pantry for the women to come inside. He was a peeper.
Actually, Roger Hampton, the guy that played Zach, he was actually in Halloween 2 as a patrolman, apparently.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody would have known that, but
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was one of the patrolmen, but he actually died in 2012.
Damn.
And it started to be a buzzkill there, but
everybody died.
Yeah, let's. I mean, for me with the cast, I mean, the cast is very good. You guys have already said everything there is to say about Dee Wallace and how good she is. And once again, I invite people to go find the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum and find her episode and watch it. I mean, her talking about her career and stuff like that was fantastic. But real quick to kind of continue to dote on Terrence Mann, the guy's been in some great stuff. I mean, he was in the first 4 Critters films. He was in 1, 2, 3, and 4. He was in Big Top Pee Wee. He was in a movie that I had forgotten about until this very second when I was reading his filmography, was Solar Babies from the 80s. It was some weird sci-fi thing that I don't even remember what the hell it was about. I remember being kind of like confused by it when I first watched it, ultimately liking it. But that's one of those movies I probably haven't seen in 30 years. And then, going to his TV and stuff like that, he did The Tick in the 90s. He did a lot of soap opera stuff, One Life to Live, All My Children, stuff like that. 30 Rock, Sense8 he was in. He was in the TV show Sleepy Hollow. He played the devil.
That was a good show there for a while.
I do remember him from The Blacklist. He played one of the Blacklisters. He played Harris Van Ness. And, of course, he's done a ton of stage work. I couldn't possibly go into all that. But, one of the other ones I had to dote upon, somebody who passed away just recently was Emmet Walsh. I mean, this guy, so many movies. The guy instantly when you look at him. I mean, he's
swallowed by chewing tobacco.
Scowl right there.
So much stuff.
That is the view.
I mean,
yep.
Yeah, everything from. Let me pull up his filmography real quick. I had it here.
Oh man, good luck. You're gonna be here all night reading that.
I mean, he got it started at Alice's Restaurant back in 1969, and then Midnight Cowboy, uncredited role. Then Little Big Man, which is one of the great movies from the 70s with Dustin Hoffman. Escape from Planet of the Apes, Serpico, The Gambler, Jesus Christ, Airport 77, the original Slapshot. Let's see, The Jerk, that very famous scene. He's like, die, gas jockey, and he starts shooting at Steve Martin's character. Cannery Row, a great movie. Blade Runner, Missing in Action, Fletch. Anybody in Fletch. He actually did Fletch the year before he did Critters. Back to School, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I mean, I'm going down this guy's list of stuff, and I'm like, good God, he's been in so many things that are so good. Was the Cops and Roberts? It's not a good movie, but I mean, he's good. A Time to Kill, he played like the drunken judge that was giving advice to Matthew McConaughey's character. It says he was in Twilight. I don't know about that. Been a while since I've seen that movie, so maybe he was. Let's see. What is some of the other stuff? Chasing 3000 baseball movie. Scorpion King Part 4. He was in there somewhere. He was in one of the Knives Out movies. And then TV. I mean, Jesus Christ! And Starsky and Hutch, Bob Newhart, Don Rickles, Sandy Duncan show, all in the 70s. The Rockford Files, a tremendously popular show at the time. Let's see, Little House on the Prairie. He was in an episode of that. That's the classic TV show. A bunch of Disney TV stuff. He was in. He played Henry Allen in the 1990 Flash movie or 1990 Flash TV show.
Really?
He did 2 episodes.
Wow.
He did some stuff in Home Improvement, The X-Files, Frasier, Jesus Christ, Army Wives, Damages, and I remember him in these episodes because I watched The Righteous Gemstones religiously. Yes, it's fun because I think that's one of the funniest TV shows that's ever been made. He plays Granddaddy Roy Gemstone, John Goodman's father, in the first couple of seasons of that in 2 separate episodes. I mean, the guy was just amazing. I mean, he had that kind of frumpy, just a way about him that it made him stand out. As a matter of fact, let me find it here. Let's see. Roger Ebert, the famous film critic, actually made something called the Stanton Walsh Rule, saying, quote, no movie featuring either Harry Dean Stanton or Emmet Walsh in a supporting role can be altogether bad. which I get it, because Harry Dean Stanton, I mean, I cannot sing his praises enough. He is so good at everything. But Emmet Walsh, again, he brought something else to the movie. He was hilarious. He could be hilarious. He could be scary. He could be comforting. He was that guy who had a way to play any role to just the right degree. And he did just pass away a couple of months ago, unfortunately, at the ripe old age of what was it, 88, I think.
80-something, yeah.
Yeah, 88 when he passed away back in March.
That's a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not bad at all. And again, I mean, look, Blade Runner. Serpico, one of the great crime movies. Slapshot, Airport 77, one of the great disaster movies. Fletch, one of the great comedies of all time. He also did some voiceover work in The Iron Giant and stuff like that. So, at the end of Romeo and Juliet, the 1990s one with Leonardo DiCaprio, he's the one that gives Romeo the drugs into the movie. The guy is just, I mean, look, 88 years, he's got some serious screen credits on his resume, and there is no denying that guy was a fantastic actor, and he stands out in almost every movie he's in. But moving on now to kind of the plot of the movie. Critters escape their whatever, and they find their way to Earth. Not terribly unusual. I'll start with you first, Nick. What do you think of the plot of the film? Did it work for you? Was there anything you would have changed?
No, I thought it worked. It worked pretty decent. I mean, it always baffles, especially now because we know how vast the universe is. I mean, we knew back then too, but of all the rocks that they land on, it's our rock that they land on, right? I thought that it worked for what it was, right? I was a pretty solid, got there. That's an awesome picture. That's amazing. Look at that thing. That is awesome. But yeah, I thought it worked good. The plot line was good. I mean, I wish, aside just from murdering everybody and just eating people, that maybe there would be more of a why they are the way they are. Just but I guess you can just have a mindless little creatures that want to just kill and eat and shoot spikes at people. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
No. Tex, what do you think? The plot of the movie worked for you, or would you have done something a little different?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, the plot worked because they did it 100,000 times in the 80s. I mean, look at this film and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Basically the same film. Just sub out Killer Clown for, Furby gone bad. It's basically the same thing. Which...
so happens we don't feed your Furby after midnight or something. Yeah.
Hey, don't feed it, don't get it wet. It's one of those things. But no, the plot works. I'm going to disagree a little bit with what Jeremy said earlier with this film being long. I enjoyed every minute of this movie. Whenever I rewatched it, I forgot how much I actually liked it. It flew at a good pace. It didn't really slow down much. The story progressed. It had a nice click-off rate. The plot and the story works. It's, maybe a little more backstory on, just from this first part of what the critters actually are. But, hey, for the purposes of this film, yeah, all good.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? We tend to be a little spoiled these days with some of the plot and the storytelling. But, I mean, going back to 1986 when this movie was made, do you think the plot worked out for you?
I don't know because I wasn't there in 1986, so I can't really tell you. To be honest,
you didn't watch the movie, right?
He wasn't even a glimmer in his daddy's eye yet.
Nope. Still swimming laps. That's.
I'm getting really tired, too.
Yeah, I know. I'm the fastest swimmer. I'm the fucking Michael Phelps of my day. Yeah, I'm not saying, like Tex was saying, like, I don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the movie. I felt like it went on maybe a little longer than I thought it would, but it's not that I was entertained for the whole time. I was like, okay, I think we've laid the groundwork of like the family and the, you know, the setting, and here's what but I'm like, okay, but you seem pretty, it's like 2 minutes in this movie and you're like, all right, I got to send discount Jabba the Hutt's going to send down these 2 bounty hunters to go kill these little like space movies. You can't tell me that guy wasn't. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could see
it. You got a little Star Warsy, which I wasn't mad about. I was like, it kind of played it straight, I guess, as straight as you can. You kind of walks the line of being like comedy, but it's like, oh no, well, we need to stop these things. But they built up enough of the I keep wanting to call them gremlins, holy crap. Of these little critters that they're a danger. And once they quite literally hit the ground, I guess hit the ground rolling instead of running, you know, they kind of made it to be a force to be reckoned with, I suppose. And
hey, I'm sorry to interject. I have to go. I'll try to get back as fast as I can. We have an emergency at the shop, so
Okay.
sorry. I'll get back as fast as I can. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, you're right.
Go ahead. See you soon, Nick.
it. Do that, brother.
All right. But I mean, other than Billy Zane's amazing comedic timing, I think the other comedic timing was you gave the critter the one F-bomb, and it wasn't even actually a spoken line. So I'm like, I think technically you could give another one. I love it. Like, you know, they have guns. So what? Bam! Fuck! And he just takes off. Watches his buddy get capped right in the face with a shotgun. He's like, oh, never mind. I love the confidence, but that, you know, they're kind of like, oh wait, they have guns. This family will shoot back at us. Yeah, it was again, if it felt right at home, and like we said with these low budget '80s movies, that I see why, you know, it felt like it was something you could do more with, and obviously they did. So, yeah, it's a fun, and they even took a shot at ET. So I mean, that's hilarious in itself.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, wait a minute. You just kind of gave a middle finger to ET because he's sitting there poking it like, who are you? And then just eats him. It's like, okay, whatever, man.
And Star Wars, if you think about it. I got some trivia about that later on.
Yeah, like I said, Star Wars. I think that's what I was going to mention. I was like laughing, and my comment was, man, I love low budget movies. It's when they first come down and they kill the first the first night cop. He's just like, reaction shot. Oh, look, he's getting dragged into the car. By what? We don't know. We're not going to show you. I'm like, yeah, of course you're not. You're going to save all that budget for the end of the movie. So it's kind of a Jaws thing where they're like, yeah, we're not going to show them getting killed by these little. God, to stop myself from saying gremlins. God damn it. These little critters. I can't. If I was in 1986, you'd be confusing me because you got, like you said, this very much feels like.
Hang on a minute.
Clowns. What?
I know a lot of people say they love Gremlins, but how many of them just had Gremlins in their head, but they actually watch Critters, kind of like you've been doing with these last few sentences you've been saying? They watched one movie, but they think they're talking about a different one. Maybe this is happening more often than we think.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it seems like a lot of the same movies follow that same pattern. Like, we know we've seen mysterious something or other comes from outer space and invades Earth. I mean, yeah.
Right,
and
yeah.
I'm not going to knock.
Yeah,
we've seen it. I'm like, well, there's only so many creature designs and stuff you can really go with. So I'm not going to. I'm like, yeah, they look like this, or they kind of look like this, or they act like these. I mean, they at least kind of gave them a little bit of character that, you know, they roll on the ground. They have like these little barbs they shoot out of them, and they, I guess, are like toxic barbs that they use to incapacitate stuff. And one just kept growing. It's like they kept getting bigger, and it wasn't really explained why. But I'm like, okay, whatever. The threat's got to keep getting bigger and bigger. So maybe it doesn't necessarily need a whole lot of backstory, but it's like I at least appreciate that, like, they kind of were unique in their own way, even though I've about called them gremlins about 10 times already. So they stand, or they roll rather, on their own right.
If Gizmo from Gremlins was in this movie, I don't think he stands a chance. Now, Stripe, Stripe could probably hold his own until the critters got too big to handle. Then he's probably running away.
Wait,
but
so hold on. So if E.T. is in this movie, even though it looked like an E.T. you'd get from like a gas station, that it kind of looks like
it's like a blow up or something.
Yeah, I'm like, so wait, so E.T.'s in this, but remember in E.T. he saw the Yoda and like recognized him, and E.T. is in fact in Star Wars. So are you telling? Hold on. So you're telling me the Star Wars does exist as well because
we can connect. Let's see, Gremlins, or see, Critters to E.T. We have the natural connection. If you want to go with the space route, you can add Star Wars and Killer Clowns because they both are in space. So that's 4 franchises.
Well, you know who did the creature effect for this movie? The Chiodo Brothers.
I do not.
The guys that wrote and directed Killer Clowns from Outer Space are the ones who did the creature effects.
This is what I'm saying. Take out the clowns, put in the critters, you've got the same film. That's why I said that earlier. It's very similar plot wise, but both good movies, by the way.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a formula and plot that works. So
right,
and you try to give it some uniqueness, but.
Well, let's go to Lady Cora for a minute. Lady Cora, I know you're not the biggest blood and guts fan on that shows up on the show regularly, but
Cora? No, she loves that stuff. She loves that.
I don't. I don't like the realism, but if it's like Kill Bill, like chopping an arm off and having a fire hydrant style blood flying out, that's funny, okay? When it's like
that's
60s
Tarantino for you, though.
When it's 60s Batman TV show, bam, wham, like stuff, it's fucking hilarious.
Zing, pow, boom.
Well, what did you think of the plot of Critters? Did it work for you?
It actually did. I didn't find myself going, that's stupid, that's stupid, that's stupid, that's stupid. I actually kind of got lost in it and enjoyed it.
Lost in space.
They should never have remade that into a movie. They should never put the guy from Friends in it. Fuck you, whoever cast him. Anyways, screw a moment over. It was a good plot. I liked it. I loved how it ended with the family still being okay. And the only thing that was a plot hole for me was why the fuck did they kill everybody to only take one person back on the ship? Was she food for the drive home? Like, what was the purpose of keeping her alive?
Did you not see how hot she was? That's why you keep her alive. She was hot.
They kind of are a different creature altogether. But anyways, I digress. That was the only plot hole for me.
Howard the Duck constitutes that species doesn't matter in space, by God. I can argue that as well.
In my top 5 creepy movies ever that I will never watch again that I think should be banned from being watched.
Been wondering if we should review that or not, to be honest. It's like
you gotta be careful with a certain part of the movie, but yeah.
I like these movies that are so terrible that they're good. And that's like I don't generally think that movies are so bad that they're good. I don't really get why people say that. But if there's like a couple of movies that kind of hit that spot with me, and Howard the Duck is one of them. It's so bad it's good.
Well, it's like it's not exactly Shakespeare, but it's still entertaining. You're like, this is horrible, but I'm enjoying myself. So that's kind of the appeal, I guess.
It's like sometimes you watch the dumpster fire as it burns. It's a dumpster fire, but the flames are tantalizing.
Yeah, like you see a wreck on the highway. What's the first thing you do? You look over.
Rubberneck.
You can't help but look to see his body parts laying on the street. But
right.
But, the plot worked for me. Look, in that era of the 80s, there was a lot of different angles of sci-fi. So it was like, okay, yeah, this is like Gremlins, but they're little monstrous things that are from outer space, because it never really says where the Gremlins are from. I don't think anyway that I've ever read. So it's like, so we're going to add this extra thing into it, and we're going to have shape-shifting bounty hunters because that's cool. And they're going to be eating up a small town, which was kind of like what every horror movie like this did in the 80s. It was like, if this is happening in small town of whatever state, and it's just some farmland where all hell's breaking loose. But I thought it worked pretty well for just what it was. Again, this is one of those movies where it's like you don't get too wrapped up in the story, you just know what's happening. Like, the movie itself is these critters eating people, and it's like it's all about the reaction to this thing as opposed to some deep story. So it's not like it's not like in Gremlins where it's just like he went and bought this as a gift to his son. He was warned not to do this, and shit happens. And there's some philosophical thing to it. There is nothing so philosophical or thought-provoking about this. Like there might be a couple aspects of Gremlins. It's just like crazy little things with teeth that eat human beings and cows and just or carnivorous and want to eat everything in their path. That's the movie. I would love to see that guy who does the pitch meetings do this movie.
Oh yeah.
How hard is it going to be to destroy the critters? Hardly an inconvenience.
Right.
Barely an inconvenience. But I would like to see
bounty hunters are tight.
Well, that's one thing I thought rewatching it was the guys that were sent down to capture were actually more villainous than the critters were themselves because they killed more people than the critters did.
I mean, like Jabba the Hutt said, like maybe you'll be less destructive this time.
Yeah, the critters are bad. The critters killed a couple people, but the guys that came to, potentially save Earth, I guess they're an anti-hero or whatever you want to call them, a Punisher type, whatever. They didn't mind taking out a bystander. They backed into the church, killed, multiple people. They're worse than the critters were. So, kind of interesting take on that.
You can say it was the critters and be like, we still get paid. We're getting paid.
Right, yeah. Right.
Well, I feel like their justification was if we got to blow up this entire town and everybody here to stop these critters from running over the world, then so be it. It's kind of like, collateral damage sucks, but it's like rather lose this town of 500 people than to lose the Eastern Seaboard or whatever. But but that's not their concern because their whole mission is to stop the critters. It's not to save the people; it's to stop the critters. Those are two very different things. Those mean two very different things. So I kind of get it.
The knockoff Jabba the Hutt, as Jeremy so eloquently put it earlier, he even says in the beginning of the film, "Be less destructive this time," or something like that. So he even calls them out on it. You know what I mean? So they're not exactly known for their stealth.
Yeah, they get way more destructive in the second and third movies. So it's like,
I know, yeah.
It's like they pretty much decimate the entire town in the second movie. Instead of just a few buildings, they decimate the entire town. And then like the third movie, I think is when they end up in New York or something like that. And
I think so.
Nobody lives in New York, so I mean, yeah. So they just
I forget which one it is, but one of them is like on the road, like the family's on the road. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, it's one of those.
But let me ask you guys this question. I mean, obviously, we talked a little bit ago about how there was a remake of sorts, a reboot called Critters Attack that is out there somewhere to see. Do you think that nowadays there would be a market for a remake or a sequel? Because this is one of the 80s properties or one of the super old properties from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that has been bandied about as maybe getting a second life somewhere. Critters Attack being a reboot of the series that came out whenever it came out, notwithstanding. Do you guys think that there is somebody out there now who could maybe remake this and make it not quite so campy, make it a bit scarier, but modernize it enough to make it palatable for today's audience? I'll go to you first, Tex.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could see a more there's a lot of fun to be had in the Critters stuff that we have already, but this property akins itself to a more serious take. And if you just take the fun out of it, up the stakes a little bit, kind of like Nick was saying earlier with Gremlins, where there was more of them, put more of them in there, make them fierce, actually viciously killing people, give us some grindhouse-like deaths, and you can make a pretty good. Now, I don't know if the market is really looking for a Critters reboot. I don't know how well it would do, but I think it would probably be a very entertaining watch. I know I'd check it out, but yeah, this one is one I would say that needs not an update, but I'd say maybe keep it in the 80s because modern technology, if the family had cell phones, that kills the whole thing with this kind of premise. So keep it in a small town out in the middle of nowhere, maybe even further out, and keep the desolate location and make it darker. I could see it working.
I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think? Is there something to the idea of maybe doing this in a modern day?
Like we've been saying, we've now just about seeing everything. So you to not be so desensitized, you'd have to have something that gets a little more in your face, like Tex was saying. Like we can make them a little more vicious and kind of more of a threat. Not so much at the camp, but I kind of agree with maybe keeping it in the 80s. It would still kind of give that vibe. Like if you want to have something that's still, and since we're on that like kick right now, apparently of every single thing has to take place in the 80s and star Finn Wolfhard. So there's your movie already. So I already wrote the whole damn thing.
Hey, I'd be down for a Critters movie that takes place on that prison asteroid. What? Show me why these things are locked up and show me that world. Make that your darker vibe. That could be kind of cool with like an 80s thing going or something. That might be fun to watch.
I mean, even if you had, I don't know, that is kind of the inherent problem of making it in today's world is, there's cell phones and better technology than it had in the 80s. But like, because you still have to explain away like how to, like, that's your first thought is, okay, couldn't you just call someone? And it's like you have to explain why they can't or find some way to cut them off. I mean, you can still do it, and I know, like, even the redneck has a cell phone, but, like, there's some places in the world where you ain't got a fucking single bar of service. So, I mean, you could still...
I can drive a mile. I can drive a mile from my house, and I lose service for, like, 3 miles, dude. It still happens everywhere, so it's one of those...
There's still plenty of pockets of, the country where you don't have as much to it. I mean, you could even... I don't know. I'm not saying like just they EMP'd the town and everything's fried. Like, well, yeah, you could do that, I suppose. They have alien technology, and that's a big MacGuffin. You can just explain away with dialogue, as Frank always says.
One dialogue away from explaining everything.
And one whatever space technology bullshit you've got going on your ship. So
you're one bullshit machine away from the apocalypse.
That's exactly. So. No, I still agree with keep it in the 80s, but you could make it a little more serious. It'd be kind of fun. I don't think you necessarily need to like update them at all too much. That being said, I mean, would you want to still do some puppet work, or would you want like CGI? I don't know.
Oh no, I'd go practical.
I would go
something
practical.
like this.
Yeah, this would
have the charm. Keep some puppets. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
What if they turned this into a musical? And had the critters sing.
They can turn it into a musical, but I will pretend it never existed and go on about my.
Come on, you're gonna tell me you don't want Johnny Steele up there singing some songs with some critters? Like that's the music video.
Oh no! I'm a fan of 80s rock. I dig that era of rock and roll, but I don't need 90 minutes of singing when you can just talk like a normal person. Musicals are. Don't even get me started. Well, I hate it.
That's the other thing. It's like 90-minute movie and the girl or the fuck damn it. You heard me again. When the critters show for like 9 minutes, like I don't I can't. They're gremlins, man. Not the same process of how you get there, but God damn it.
Well,
I don't know. Cor,
you can do like go ahead, Cor.
What am I saying?
Well, I mean, what do you think? Do you think if there's an avenue to remake or reboot this today and
yes,
make it a bit more modern, that's something watchable for somebody like you who isn't a big fan of like the bloody stuff the way we are?
Oh yeah, if somebody did it right and just made it be completely independent, not necessarily a spin-off that has to be like accurate to the storyline of all the other movies. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I could see it.
I'm looking over here at my computer and I totally forgot. It's hilarious that we're doing this today because it also happens to be George Lucas's 80th birthday. So thank you for Star Wars and thank you for still being around. Screw you for selling it to Disney, but hey.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and fuck you for selling to Disney, but
I was gonna hype him up and then be like, "Thanks for selling to Disney, you dumbass." But hey, thanks.
Well, you remember George Lucas also gave us another movie that we just mentioned a minute ago. He directed Howard the Duck.
There you go.
I was trying to nod. I went to like, American Graffiti. I'm like, no, we didn't talk about that.
They can't all be winners.
But I know.
No. Corey, what would you do with it? I mean, what kind of film would you? What kind of aspects of a film would you like to see them have if they were to redo this today?
I think it'd be cool if they did like a Jumanji concept where like they were like somehow like preserved in something and somebody opened a hatch and all of a sudden they came alive, like some archaeological thing. You know, like something from, remember Hellboy? When the bad guys went to the museum and broke open the thing to get the Hellhounds released.
Oh, that was Hellboy 2, right? The Golden Army.
No, whatever it was. Something like that with Jumanji, where it's like it was here, it existed, but nobody knew about it for a long time. And, you know, they had to navigate dealing with it. So and maybe somehow like, they find a way to signal space and have somebody come, I don't know, come get them. And these are space lasers on an asteroid to kill them. I don't know. But the point is, if it was something like that where they were found, like the ones in the chicken coop, like for example, like say somehow, something like that. And people come across it and then it becomes a horror movie because they released this thing and, you know, and it brings an onslaught of an alien invasion or something. Like mama bears going to try and protect their baby cubs or something. I don't know. Something like that would be cool.
I mean, Johnny still basically turned into Captain Marvel. He threw the kid the little fucking thing. I was like, here, call me. Okay. Threw him his like little space like car, like business card. Like, here you go, kid.
That might be the greatest bullshit device ever created in a film. You can just hit a button and rebuild your house. Like, are you kidding me? What else can this thing do? Like,
the thing that's
bullshit. Telling you.
Why didn't he say anything? Why didn't he say anything? Here, just call me. He didn't.
He's just like, here, call me.
But he didn't say push this button to rebuild your house. To me, there's a little bit of a plot gap there. But to be fair, they're aliens and they don't know how to communicate. So
it was like. The device was so good, it made sure the pretty little curtains even got put back into place.
Oh, I know.
Like, come on.
Backwards.
That one detail. Like, I love that scene, but I laugh so hard every time I see, like, they're focusing on that window, and then you see the curtains. Oh, take it back. There we go.
What about the Mason was that put back in the house?
Yeah, well, that and the cat being stuck in the mailbox as the bullshit device.
As somebody who doesn't like cats, that was hilarious to me. So.
The shingles weren't right. The shingles drove me nuts. You could at least fix the shingles properly.
Well, let me get Nick's response to this real quick before I give you mine. I mean, they did make Critters Attack, which is a reboot of the series, so to speak, about 4 years ago or so. But I mean, given today's movie making abilities, today's creators, would a sequel or a remake work today? And what would you do if I were to give you the keys to the Critters franchise?
I guess kind of like I said earlier, is maybe a little more of the backstory, like maybe like a prequel, a Critters prequel.
Yeah.
So we can know like what they did.
How they found Earth.
Well, why they got incarcerated in the first place? Like, obviously, they're little bastards, but where were they little bastards that got them arrested?
Yeah.
That I think that's where I would more go. And then basically leading up to them breaking out. And then I guess maybe you could sandwich the two together and then go into Critters. Maybe, I don't want to extend it. It was kind of already like, I think Jeremy said it was getting a little long. You're kind of like, all right, we get it, kind of wrap it up kind of thing. But I think I'd go more of the prequel route to show maybe where they came from.
Yeah.
That would be my take.
That's interesting. Let me throw this out to you guys real quick, and feel free to disagree with me. But I mean, you've got Dee Wallace still out there and working. She still looks beautiful. I mean, she still looks fantastic. You've got Scott Grimes, who is not only still alive and still acting, but he's still doing very, very well. I actually just a couple days ago started rewatching Band of Brothers from 10 or 15 years ago. He's great in that. He's done The Orville. He's done other stuff. He's out there. Why not have it? Let's picture this for a minute. I'll give you my Golden Girls here. It's like, picture it, Grover's Bend, modern day, wherever they don't think they're in. Scott Grimes comes home because his father has passed away of natural causes. To the house where all this stuff happened back in 1986. He's come back to kind of help his mom make this transition into this part of her life. And remember those little eggs that were right there in the barn at the end of this movie?
Chicken
now,
yeah.
You're way again. You need a piece of dialogue to explain why it took them 40 years to hatch. But I mean, you can just say they're Indian eggs. They just stayed for longer, and that's it. That's all the dialogue you need. But so while he's there, possibly with his son, who's roughly the same age, 12 years old, 13. While he's there, all hell pops off again, and he's right back in the mix. His mom's right back in the mix. His son is like, "Dad, what the fuck is this? Why have you ever told me you're fighting these little hairy bastards? Why did you leave this part of your history out as I've been growing up?" And it all starts again. Wouldn't that be kind of fun? Like, and somewhere in the background, there's Johnny Steele playing one of those old 80s rockers.
Yeah,
like concerts back in the background or something like that on TV. So you get that nostalgic kick. You can bring in some like more modern special effects, keep them practical, but kind of modernize them a bit. And the critters maybe. I think you could probably retcon the third and fourth movies. You don't really need them. The fourth movie takes place in space anyway. The third movie takes place in New York, I think, with a separate family, as I recall. So you don't even really need to acknowledge anything that happened in 3 and 4. You just kind of like build off everything you built off the 2 really good movies, this one and part 2, and just kind of continue it on from there. I'm not saying you got to make a new trilogy out of this or anything, but a one-off, keep the budget down. You've got to draw like Scott Grimes, who's become a star in his own right. You've got Dee Wallace, who's a Hall of Famer. I mean, you've got all kind of nostalgia you can build off of. Give it better special effects, better storytelling. Keep the budget down to below like $50 million. There's no way that movie wouldn't make $200 million in the box office. There's no way.
I have the winning idea, y'all. Critters
with tits, right? Make them female.
No, I don't need critter. I don't need critter titties. I need human females that get naked that would be in this film. But Critters versus Sharknado. We get a Sharknado going. Critters now become the heroes of our story.
It doesn't mean you have to have a tornado with critters in it.
Critters, they have to redeem themselves. We do the Halloween 2018 thing. We keep the first film, kind of like Frank was saying a minute ago. We ignore everything else. And those 3 eggs that are from the end of that film, scientists, found them or whatever, and they're in a lab. The Sharknado goes off, and for some bullcrap reason, they're the only reason that we can stop the Sharknado. It'll make $100 million guaranteed. It'll be a great film. Let's make it now.
Only if the cast from Saved by the Bell are like the humans in it.
Okay, cool.
Isn't one of them in prison or in trouble for being a...
Are you telling me?
Well, Screech is dead.
Screech died.
Okay.
If Tiffany Amber Thiessen gets naked in it. That's the only way.
Well, all you need to satisfy Tex is you just need one scene where a critter attacks a girl in the shower.
Yes.
It's not like that. You can even model it after that famous scene in Psycho where it's like she's washing her hair and then you see the shadow of a crying.
If it's good enough for Alfred Hitchcock, by God, it's good enough for me. That's all I'm saying.
And I say we need a critter dressed up like the Gremlin in part 2.
I think there needs to be Critter Girl with boots doing shower scenes for Tex.
Hey, you know what? It can be all inclusive. Some people might dig that. I mean, according to what Corey told us before the show started, there's all kinds of weirdos in the world. Yeah. We never know what people are into.
And apparently Corey dates them. That's what she told us.
Wow.
Hey, tell me I'm lying. I'm not lying.
I look forward to being vindicated on your show when you tell the actual story.
Oh, no idea what you're talking about.
You're going to need to pop onto their show for just a few minutes on Thursday.
I think I'm going to be on the call for this.
Before Nick blows this whole thing out of proportions, let me tell you exactly what I said.
Hey.
I will definitely.
Y'all laugh, but Critters versus Sharknado, that could be the next great film. You never know.
Or what if they
crossbreed
and there are shark critters that are
underwater? I like where
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shark critters. There you go. Shark critters. I like it.
Blood from critters and mixed it with the blood of Bruce. And we have super critter jaws.
Like a piranha-like thing, but with
Oh my God.
Like piranha. Yeah,
I like where we're heading on this one. I like
you know,
I like this.
with ideas like this.
Right here for
no, how about wait. I got you. Critters on a plane. Put Samuel Jackson back to work. There you go.
Yes.
Oh,
No.
I dig it.
An underwater space station. Critters
Sure.
on a submarine.
No,
with
you get no, because you can still use Cam Jackson. You can have him do that shit where he's doing this big speech, and then one big critter instead of the shark comes out, just grabs him. Deep blue sea. That's what it was.
Yeah.
With great ideas like this, we're not going to be on YouTube very long because Hollywood's calling us tomorrow as soon as they see this. We're going to be making movies, buddy.
There's
So,
a lot of
I'm down.
in the air in Texas.
Right now, Kevin Feige is someone watch this like.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, about 2
whenever
years from now,
and then over there in the corner, there's Kevin Smith smoking a joint. Like that would work.
yeah.
Hey.
I made one about a walrus, you know.
Hashtag critters, yes.
Critters, yes.
come on now. Hey,
You know what?
y'all just wait till I'm a famous director. It's all good. It's going to happen one of these days.
Who better that can make this movie high quality but not take it seriously other than somebody like Kevin Smith?
Yeah.
And I think the
That
perfect
could be cool.
example is that movie where is the walrus, Tusk.
Tusk.
The perfect example is that because that
Oh
movie,
my God.
while mostly a suspenseful horror thing, there still is a great deal of Kevin Smith humor in that. Especially when you get to like Johnny Depp's little private detective carrier.
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob have to appear, though. Jay and Silent Bob have to fight critters. That could be good as well. That could be fun. I'm down for that one as well.
Little man, put that critter in my hand.
Come on, Kevin Smith. Help us out here, buddy.
Come on.
But,
You're more likely to be watching. Come on.
But let's get to a little bit of trivia now that we're done, telling you guys about all this other horrible shit. Although initially believed to have been inspired by the success of Joe Dante's 1984 film Gremlins, Herek has boldly refuted this in interviews, pointing out that the script was actually written by Muir long before Gremlins went into production and subsequently underwent a lot of rewrites to reduce the apparent similarities between the two films. So no, one did not inspire the other. This was actually first. It's just that Gremlins made it to camera first.
Well, it doesn't really sound like you had much ambition to get there first, there, did you, buddy?
Yeah.
Well,
Dragon ass.
You can say you wrote it whenever the hell you wanted. I don't care. You didn't get there first. That's all I'm saying.
It's not always about who does it first. Sometimes it's about who does it better.
Well, how many times did I say Gremlins instead of Critters? I'm just saying.
But
I still say this is the better film.
That's the end. I disagree. See, I'm going with Gremlins.
Well, think about it this way: is this film a first-time director? And yeah, you've got Dee Wallace and Emmet Walsh, who at the time were big, but it's like you didn't have a big-name director. Spielberg, who was attached as a writer to Gremlins, or as a producer of Gremlins, and Joe Dante, who had already done probably 4 or 5 really big films. I mean, so that there's a big difference in marketing between these two films. You didn't have a Spielberg and a Dante to market your film around if you're Critters. You had that if you were Gremlins. So Gremlins had that. Look, I guarantee that the marketing budget for Gremlins had to have been probably 8 or 10 times what the marketing budget was for this.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it matters. It matters. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that Gremlins isn't better or that Critters is or whatever. I don't think that's really the point. The point is they marketed the shit out of that movie. And sometimes marketing is what drives a movie, not necessarily performances or anything creative about, about the art. Sometimes marketing is what drives a movie. I mean, I've been saying forever that one of the reasons why Taylor Swift is so big is because you can't turn your fucking head without seeing 12 billboards with her face on it. I mean, they're pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into marketing. If you were to market,
her ass off,
I'm not saying she doesn't work, but I mean, it's like if you took another really good act and spent $150 million a year marketing them, they'd be on an Eras tour selling out every fucking place they went to as well. Sometimes it really is all about the marketing, or they can go date Travis Kelce. However you want it to work. And
I think she's bigger than he is. Just saying.
Yeah, and Tom Hiddleston and whoever the hell else she's dated over the last couple of years. That she's talking about.
Well, no, it's not even just that, but go ahead.
I'd say, can you imagine the album that's going to come out when her and Travis Kelce break up?
They're not going to break that.
Anyway.
One.
Can you imagine?
I can't wait.
No, she's done writing breakup songs. Now it's divorce songs. That's what Travis Kelce has to worry about.
Well, hey,
Like we said, the sequel's always got to be bigger, baby.
And the first music video should be wearing his rings like this, going, look at that guy.
He's a two-time Super Bowl winner. She has to make sure she secures that bag before she, X-nays and whatever.
It only takes me a one-time divorce court loser for all that to go away.
Right.
And I'm willing that she can afford more lawyers than he can. But let's see. I mentioned earlier the Chiodo brothers, the minds behind Killer Clowns from Outer Space, actually did the creature designs for this. Charles Chiodo said that he based the design of the critters in this movie on the Looney Tunes character as a Tasmanian devil. I kind of see it.
I can see it.
I would say he designed it around a bowling ball. Whatever.
It looks like a coconut with a face on it. It's kind of what it looks like.
You know what? Speaking of that, I'm surprised we didn't have at least one goofy little shot of like the dad picking up a bowling ball and just like yucking at some of these little things that just go scattering. Yeah, that'd be
fun. He was on his way to go bowling. Where's the bowling ball?
Even better. Guy not paying attention, drunk, sticks his hand down, thinks he's putting it in a ball.
Bites his fingers off. Yeah.
Perfect.
They missed it.
Well, I can't wait till we get around to doing part 2 because there were some pretty good scenes in that one. But let's see. Terrence Mann, you guys saw the music video early on in the movie.
Yeah, we did.
Terrence Mann actually performed the song "Power of the Night" as Johnny Steele, especially for this movie, shooting an entire video and everything.
Oh.
No, really? It only took him the first fucking 5 minutes of this movie. I was like, well, there it is. There's the obvious, we're going to shoehorn this in. And then they're like, and then I'm like, wait, we stopped on that. Why? Then I see them bounty her return to him. I'm like, God, no. We're not going to watch him for this movie, are we? Damn it. We're really banking on this. And that's why my little quote there is like, Johnny Steele? Who? They were almost like, who is this guy? Don't you know him?
Yeah.
No.
You know what's screwed? That video I'm looking right now has on YouTube over 400,000 views. The music video.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I was like, I know that was definitely made for this movie on purpose. So I'm like, okay, well, get your. I'm disconnected from not having existed in 1986. I'm like, well, there's that obligatory shit where now we got to have a whole music video in here for some fucking reason. Almost as if man, we really got to pad this out to an hour and a half, guys. What are we gonna do? Oh, let's shoot a music video.
Hey,
okay, that'll work.
I think almost every Friday besides, I think from part 3 on, every Friday and every Nightmare on Elm Street had a song and music video that went along with it. So that was kind of the trend back then, though. So, especially for horror films.
There is a little bit of history with Stephen Herek in this, too, because the movie Rockstar he did with Mark Wahlberg. I'm not going to lie to you. I still listen to Steel Dragon. I've got Steel Dragon songs in my playlist in YouTube that I'll listen to. I know there was a fake band and they recorded all these songs just for the movie, but it's that entire album's pretty dope. That's some great 80s hair metal, late 80s hair metal. It's fantastic stuff.
I didn't know that they had actually released that.
They didn't release a Steel Dragon album. It's on the soundtrack for the movie, but there's 3 or 4 songs on there that. The 3 or 4 that they.
I haven't seen.
Of course, the movie. That's a fantastic. I'm telling you, we should review it.
Let's see.
I think that and Boogie Nights. I think will always go down as Mark Wahlberg's best film.
I agree. I
like
agree.
Pain and Gain is good, and he's been good in a couple other things. The Happening was terrible. I hate that they ever scored into that movie.
The Happening.
I like that movie.
See, I think I like a cheesy action movie. The Big Hit. I loved The Big Hit.
Yeah.
For just being a cheesy, out of this so ridiculous with the kills and all that stuff. But I like Lou Diamond Phillips as well, so I really enjoyed The Big Hit.
Well, Patriot Day.
I don't know.
Too.
I think Mark Wahlberg's worst movie for me, anyways, and it's just for selfish reasons. But it's that god awful Transformer movie he did where he plays a Texan and tries to put the accent on, but he goes in and out of it within each scene. You can hear him going in and out of that accent like it's a Chinese fire drill. He cannot hold it down. It was bad.
It's bad.
It was horrible.
Like Kevin Costner in 13 Days trying to do the Boston.
Right. Yeah. Like
no,
I don't know if they had like I mean, you think Transformers is like a big, like they spend a lot of money on those movies. Somebody would have been like, "Hey, idiot, talk regular, talk normal, talk one way, don't do three, pick one." But whatever.
$250 million. You could have spent $100,000 on a dialect coach for Mark Wahlberg.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It takes one voice coach. What can that cost? $5,000, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Figure it out.
And Andy Samberg doing Mark Wahlberg on SNL was awesome.
Oh yeah.
His oh yeah. I was great. I have to watch it after we're done.
Let's see. The town of Grover's Bend, where most of Critters takes place, is actually a nod to the infamous 1938 radio broadcast of War of the Worlds by Orson Welles. That broadcast reported that aliens were landing in Grover's Mill. It was performed so well that thousands of listeners believed that this fake news report was true. That broadcast, like this film, is about aliens landing in a spacecraft and attacking humankind.
Nice.
The town in this movie. The town in this movie felt just like the town in Leprechaun that we reviewed not too long ago. Like the look, the feel of it. I mean, obviously, this was in Kansas. I think that one took place in California or whatever. I can't remember right now. Yes, but the way that they portrayed it, it looked and felt very similar. I did notice that as well.
I thought the house gave me the Dawn of the Dead feeling. Because they just stuck in the one house.
The 78 or the 04?
Well, with even one, they were stuck in a house.
Well, I was thinking like Night of the Living Dead, like the original one.
Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, you mean Night of the Living Dead? Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
He even mentioned like, oh, we could like board up the windows. I'm like, what is this, a zombie movie? The fuck?
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, then they did none of that.
No,
right?
They still left two guns on the damn wall. I'm mad.
So can I ask something now? Because I don't know, like,
I'm from the north and I know better than that. Jesus.
Is it a usual thing? Like, do you guys actually put locks on the bottom of your doors in America?
No.
Okay, because I've never seen that till that movie. I'm like, okay, that's...
I keep a gun next to my bed. That does a better job.
Well, you actually use it. Like I said, they didn't use any of the damn guns in this movie except for the one. And you picked a double barrel shotgun, like the worst possible thing you could have picked. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure I saw like a lever action on that wall. I'm like, you could have done that. Jesus.
He fired that shotgun maybe 4 or 5 times in this film. Then he runs out of ammo. You live in the middle of nowhere. You're a farmer. You ran out of shotgun shells. I've got piles of these things. I could shoot my shotgun for days and never run out. I found that the most unbelievable thing in this movie, and not the aliens. How do you run out of ammo?
He's got around his house like candy dishes and shit. Hey, help yourself some shotgun shells.
You never know. You never know.
You never know what aliens you're going to attack.
When you walk into Snoop Dogg's house, he has that little thing there. I saw this on TV a while back. He has that little thing there, that little table. It's just got like 40 or 50 rolled joints on it.
Yep,
that's kind of how it is in Texas house. You just walk into his house, and you got that little platter there with like a 380 and a 9mm.
Which is guns.
What do you feel like carrying around the house, Larry?
Hey, you never know what room.
I'm going to go to the Internet Movie Firearm Database. I'm going to look up what those damn guns were. Continue.
You never know what room you're going to be in when the zombie apocalypse happens. Are you going to say, hey, let me run across the house and grab the gun? The zombies are coming. Well, you can just pull one off the wall right there. It just makes practical sense. That's all I'm saying. Be prepared here, people.
I have one in every room of the house.
Wow, somebody did.
No, I do. This is what I'm saying. I already do. That's not a big deal.
As I say, he's already got him in his house. Yeah.
I'm prepared.
Somebody did a good job of this page on this movie. I may have to. I don't know how well this, if this is like Wikipedia where I can just like add shit to it, because all they have mentioned in this is the 12 gauge double barrel they use, and then the Remington 870. Yeah, that, and then the Remington 870 from the police car. So, actually, for one thing, I know the guy we just mentioned, the guy who plays the cop. He had his revolver out a few times. Like,
yeah.
I think this page needs some love. Like, we need some updates here because, like I said, there was a shot of him on the wall, and there was more than just that. You know what? If they update this movie, use a double barrel.
Who
Zombieland knew to do that. The joke was, haha, he has a double barrel, and they're like, okay, we give him like a pump.
You can buy shotgun ammo at a hardware store down here. You don't have to go to like a gun store to buy it. So who runs out of shotgun shells? That's crazy to me. I don't understand that.
I love that takeaway from it. I love it.
Let's see. The bounty hunters. Both the bounty hunters are actually unnamed in this movie, but their names were given as Ugg and Lee in Critters 2: The Main Course, the sequel to this movie. I don't remember. I don't remember them being given names in this movie.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that either. Yeah,
they were just like, "Oh, that's the Reverend. Oh, that's Charlie. What? You know." They were just whoever they were impersonating.
The whoever they had simulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
kind of get it though, being the gamer. I'm like, I agree with the other guy where he's like, "Can't you just pick one?" He's like, "No, I can't decide." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna change my character every like 5 minutes when I see something cool. I see something better, and I don't want to do that."
Yep, that's the gamer thing. Yeah, I'm lame like that. I actually have a suit for when I gamble in Red Dead Redemption. Oh, I got to change it to my night's clothes.
Yeah, I'm like, I got
me.
I thought I had a good picture of the Jabba the Hutt looking thing. It's in between them right there.
He has to get his Kenny Rogers outfit on to go gambling, by God.
Yeah. What a weird character. Like, just odd. There's a floating orb and shit. It's like Orko.
Ortho? From Masters Universe? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was saying, Orko from the cartoon.
What was that? That he kind of looked like the Hunchback guy from 300 as well. He had a little bit of that in there as well. If y'all remember him, the guy that the Spartans don't allow to be a Spartan, and he turns and goes with what's his face? He kind of looked like him too.
Now you're gonna I'm trying not to cheat and look it up. What is his name? I'm a humble guy.
I forget. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Xerxes. Right?
Yeah.
Xerxes, yeah. Got all the piercings, yeah, Xerxes.
Yeah. That's a great movie, 300.
Yeah, the guy who dresses like a
13-year-old
nowadays. That's the toy that Brad blows up at the farm early in the movie is a Star Wars Episode 4 Y-Wing painted silver. Also, Brad's cat, I don't know if you noticed this or not, was named Chewie. Both are obvious references to Star Wars.
I noticed that. Yeah.
I don't know. I saw the little spaceship. I'm like, oh, I bet you that's some other joke. It's some model of something. I'm like, I don't know if that was really a Y-Wing. It looked too thick and bulky, unless it was a toy of it. Maybe.
I thought it was a Y-Wing.
I don't know. I saw it for a second. I was like, typical 80s shit. I'm gonna M80 this fucking toy because it's funny. I'm like, okay.
Hey, tell you what,
it's gonna be worth a lot of money.
That kid had some serious like he had some firecrackers that would be illegal in Mexico. Good stuff going on, buddy. He had some.
They were not crackers. They were fucking dynamite.
He casually made like a pipe bomb in his fucking room. Like what?
Oh yeah.
There is no way in hell when I was 12 or 13 years old, my parents would have let me make a literal half stick of dynamite in my fucking bedroom.
Yeah.
There is no way.
Texas like every Sunday here.
It wasn't like
the one that he's making. The one that he's making in the bedroom is like probably 8 inches long, and he's like duct taping multiple together, sticking it in his back pocket like he's the Joker gonna go blow up the bank in Gotham or something. Yeah, like this thing was
huge. Got his damn slingshot. He put it under his pillow, like, oh, I hope they don't find that. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, most kids are hiding porn. He's hiding pipe bombs. Like,
that's how Timothy McVeigh got his start right there.
I was gonna say, that's how an arsonist grows up right there. That's the profile. But
see, he's the crazy one. He's like, when I tell you when the damn aliens attack you, you're gonna fucking thank me.
Y'all like me when I saved the planet. Yeah, whatever.
Right. Oh, now you want me to make a quarter stick? Okay.
I remember looking at that yesterday as I was watching. I was like, that guy, he is not making a firecracker. He's making a fucking high explosive. I was like, that is dangerous. Yeah, like you get to the point where you're making stuff like that, where you have to start legitimately watching out for like static electricity. You ever watch documentaries of like the places where they make fireworks, like the big ones the cities will use to do full display?
Yep.
Like there's
because I literally have a license for that. Trust me, I know.
when you walk into one of these buildings, there's a little copper plate you have to touch that is grounded to the ground underneath, and you have to touch this little copper plate as you're walking in the door to release any static electricity you have built up just from walking across the parking lot. Because it's like the shit is that sensitive, and I'm like, and this kid's just in his room like, and I'm like, are you kidding? You're making a half a stick of dynamite to blow your fucking house up, let alone what it was done to this kid.
Yeah.
But I was like, Jesus Christ, that was insane. But let's see, the critters that swallowed the cherry bomb. Let's see, that scene was actually controlled by puppeteers who were positioned below in a hayloft to operate the stomach and eye movements. A crew member named Dwight Roberts commented that it took some effort to coordinate the critter's bulging stomach and eyes as it was kneeling over in the hay due to the number of people needed to articulate it, which I think is one of the reasons why ultimately that thing didn't explode. Like when he feeds that whatever the hell that firecracker was to him and he swallows it and it blows up, all he does is just kind of like keel over. He doesn't explode. There's no like.
Maybe he just falls forward.
Yeah. I think maybe they were just kind of like, you know what? It looks like he just died and keeled over. Maybe we'll go with it. Maybe just that one little problem we were dealing with. We'll just put it in the movie and call it him dying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got a kick out of it just the way he was like R2 when he got zapped.
Which that scene kind of okay. So they knew what guns were. They knew what weapons were, right? Because they've got weapons. Oh fuck, whatever. The whole scene later on in the movie. But before that scene, they encounter the firework, which they're both made out of gunpowder. So the critter didn't know that was going to explode. Like to me, obviously it's an '80s plot hole. You overlook it. Don't think too hard. But you would have thought if they know what a weapon is, that explodes. So does that. I better not swallow it. I know it's a funny joke, cherry bomb. You swallowed that, haha. But I don't know. It just to me that didn't really fit. I would have done that differently. But whatever.
They may not have known the difference between a shotgun shell and a firecracker.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
They may not have known the difference between a shotgun shell and a firecracker.
Maybe.
I mean,
but
really thinking about it, they've only been on Earth for like 12 hours. How are they going to know this shit already?
If you know one explosive, don't you think you know the other?
You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe, but if you're from outer space and you're dealing with photon blasters and shit, then maybe you don't.
I don't know.
It's logical.
I still say plot hole, but that's just me.
Let's see. I think I already went into that one.
I was okay. I liked how when they blew the house up, it probably misses when I had to run out there, but it was basically like "fuck you."
And then when the ship's up, it blows up into the lands right where the house was.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. The second bounty hunter named Lee changes his facial features 3 times to those of Jeff Barnes' character, the corpse cop, including the protruding wounds from his face, the Reverend Miller, played by Jeremy Lawrence, and Charlie McFadden, played by Don Keith Hopper. The actors portraying Lee's default form are actually uncredited, and to this day are still unknown.
That's wild.
So, like the person right there that you're seeing on your screen, nobody knows who the hell it is.
Nobody knows who it is, eh? Wow,
that's awesome.
I did really appreciate that they put the marks on his face, like that he saw. Oh, it's a dead body.
Yes, that's correct. Like, I'll do that.
And I loved how they didn't. Like it was one of those areas you go, oh, you guys couldn't even. Yeah, they actually did that. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
They did that in the second movie as well. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I do not.
when he takes the form of the centerfold girl from the nudie magazine.
Mm-hmm.
When that guy first takes that form, he actually has to pull the staples out of it like his abdomen because they were looking at the centerfold and there were the staples across her abdomen in the centerfold. And so when it's
like literally
when he turns into that chick, albeit fully dressed in the body armor of the bounty hunter, he has to like reach down and pull like a staple out of his stomach. I remember that. I don't know why it's always kind of
but that's a really cool feature though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they just literally look at it and they're like, yes.
Yep.
I
like that. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, that's keeping to that's continuity right there. Continuity between films. Let's see. We talked about the house blowing up. I don't really have a good picture for the house blowing up. So we'll go to this one that everybody hates about him going out in the woods with no gimbal flashlight.
No gun.
Special effects coordinator Chuck E. Stewart hired someone named Joe Lombardi as a consultant for the scene where the house explodes. They rigged the entire second floor ceiling with primacord, wrapped up inside it. And while a contingent from the Los Angeles County Fire Department was on standby, the crew had to wait until 5 a.m. to detonate the explosion after winds had died down, and so no brush fires would occur. They were very lucky, considering that it was a very dry season when they were filming this, and there was a lot of dry brush everywhere, but they set no fires.
That's wild. Yeah, you gotta be
I
careful,
suppose when you had a chance to plan it all out, though, I guess it kind of makes sense that you would have things go the way you want them to.
You know, the explosives guy in Hollywood might be the best job to have. Like, you get to do the coolest part and just blow up like whether it's the house in this movie or whatever it may be. Like, you get to do all the cool stuff. That might be not director or movie star, but like the explosive prop guy. That might be the best job to have on a movie set.
There's a lot of setup and something you see for like 3 seconds, but it's worth it.
Right.
And then when something goes wrong and you kill someone, you end up getting charged for it.
Well, that's when you move to Mexico and change your name to Juan Pablo. But that's all.
Juan Pablo.
You're fine.
There's not a million Juan Pablos in Mexico.
You know, Juan Pablo is the name of the terrible bachelor on the Bachelor TV show.
Oh, well, sorry.
But we don't know that because we don't watch Bachelor.
I'll pick generic Mexican guy name. Okay, Juan Rodriguez. Is that better for you? Does that do anything?
Pedro Hernandez Rodriguez Gonzalo
Jr.
Have like
or
5 different names.
the third or something. I don't know. Listen, that's when you go to Mexico after you kill the guy. You just get a good tan and you go work at the beach bar in Cancun for the rest of your life. It's fine.
See.
So,
See.
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, here's Jeremy's favorite part when we close this thing out. You think one of these days he would get wise and go look this shit up? I'm going to set the over-under at 4.
Never the same thing. So I don't know what to look for.
I'm going to set the over-under at 4.
Try to enjoy the movie, not sit there and be like, okay, who died? When did they die? How many times? How many fucking bullets were fired out of that gun? I don't know.
I'll set the over-under at 4, the total body count. Tex, what do you think?
Now, are you counting humans and critters or just humans?
Just it, yeah.
I'm counting
have
every
no
death in
idea.
this movie.
That didn't answer
Okay,
the question.
everything that died.
Everything that died.
I guess
I'll go over. Well, let's see. Yeah, I'll go over. I'll go over at 6. I'll say 6.
Okay. All right, Cora, what do you say? Set the over-under at 4. What do you say?
12.
I don't know. Dr. Nick, what do you think?
9.
Jay, what do you think?
I'll squeeze right in the middle there. I'll say over at 7.
Yeah, you will.
I feel like I took the
7 or
over-under
I'll
a
squeeze
little
in there.
low.
You better calm down. We had a discussion not too long ago. And I'm still uncomfortable.
Oh, that's right.
We
Talk about
had meetings
squeezing
about
in,
this. We had meetings
We
about
don't have an
this.
HR department. We didn't have a meeting. Damn it.
I gotta say, I gotta give Cora the win on this one.
Oh,
Because-
wow.
Okay.
Now I'm talking about all the deaths, not just humans, not even just critters. Here's the official body count according to IMDb: 1 cow, 2
Chickens.
humans, 8 critters, 1 goldfish, and several chickens.
Oh, I didn't count
Oh,
the
I was-
cow.
oh, there was no
I bet-
chickens.
Wow.
Oh, didn't he eat some chickens?
It says several chickens is what it said on IMDb.
okay.
So, but if you add up
Okay,
these numbers,
I did-
1 cow, 2 humans.
I didn't even take into
So,
account into the livestock.
If you count the
I
1
forgot
cow,
what
2
goldfish,
humans, 8
yeah.
critters, and 1 goldfish, that's 12 on the nose. But all it says is several
Damn,
chickens.
nice.
But even if you put a number on that, even if it's 1, Cora's the only one that's close. So
Yeah.
she gets
Okay.
12. That
Well,
would have
Cora
been
gets
more than
12.
12. So I'll give Cora the dub.
Congratulations, Cora. There you go.
All right. Cool.
Bravo.
But yeah, that's all the trivia I've got. Let me get your guys' final thoughts. I'll start with you first, Jay. Give me your final thoughts on Critters.
Yeah, pretty classic 80s sci-fi movie that, it's got the basis for some other movies that we've seen, like I said, with Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Gremlins, stuff like that. But still a fun movie in its own right. Like I said, I had more fun and was entertained by this because it at least had a plot going some direction, not shit happening every 3 seconds because it had to happen. Big Trouble in Little China is still a good movie. I'm just saying, like, maybe pick a direction instead of just going every direction. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch if you've never seen it. I don't think I've actually seen the other movies or 15 different shows they've made of this. So I'm sure there'll be a video game because if they make a game out of Killer Clowns, I mean, sure, why not?
Killer Clowns.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's a little more. Well, it's over there, but you kind of see it right there. Video game poster for Texas Chainsaw. So maybe that's the next medium. Who knows? Yeah, I framed that bitch. It's right. I framed that bitch. It's right up there. The poster I got for that game, right there. Yeah, it's a fun watch, and it's like I said, you'll be entertained by it. It's a lot of fun. I'm gonna pull this poster down.
I kind of want to see it now.
Yeah,
nice. I love it.
But yeah,
cool.
I framed the whole thing. I'm sorry for the glare, but yeah, that's
excellent. Love it.
That needs to be autographed by people. That would be perfect.
I was like, Gunnar Hansen. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, that's first as I go.
I was gonna say you can get Andrew. Well, hey, technically, Kane Hodder did the 3D stuff for that. You can get Kane Hodder to autograph that.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, it does. Kane Hodder's other face. Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
True.
There you go.
Maybe that'll be the next thing. I gotta get that sign and put it back in the frame.
Dr. Nick, what do you think? Give us your final thoughts on Critters.
I enjoyed it. Again, I love those movies when you can just eat some popcorn and there's really going to be no thinking and enjoy it for the cheesiness that it is. I love these old movies and brings me back. I remember the first time I watched as a kid, I like vaguely remember, like I'd always sit behind my dad. He'd lay on the couch with his legs kind of together, and I'd always sit there. I remember sitting there with my blue blanket watching this thing, terrified at 6. I remember because I was 6 or 7 watching this thing because I remember watching it with my dad. So it's a good watch. I enjoy it, and I hope anyone else that's watched this gives it a chance to watch it.
Speaking of Dee Wallace, that was me at like 10 watching Cujo. I was like, what the fuck? This is a crazy movie.
A lot of fear of dogs came from that movie for children in my age group. But Lady Cora, I don't know. How about you? Give us your final thoughts on Critters.
It's worth watching, but don't expect a lot.
Isn't that kind of the point, though?
I mean, like what she said.
Turn your brain off and enjoy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you're talking about little alien balls, tribbles from hell that are coming down to Earth from space and eating people. It's like there's a certain amount of ridiculousness just in the concept. If you watch a movie like this for logical reasons, or if you're trying to it's like movies nowadays, everybody watches for like some social allegory. How can we compare this to some bullshit going on in the world today? You don't. Not every movie has to have a social component to it. Just watch it for fun. Turn your brain off for 2 hours and enjoy your life for a second. Stop worrying about how this connects to immigration or Israel-Palestine or some bullshit. Just break away from all that and just watch a movie.
I think the only thing in this movie that came close to that for the time was like the kid was like, "Oh, it's a Russian spy satellite." I'm like, and Dad's like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "You're in the height of the Cold War, Dad." Yeah, it is, maybe, but it was just the side thing the kid said.
Yeah,
that's the only relevant thing of that time.
Text about you. Give me your final thoughts on Critters.
Yeah, this is a fun one. I'm glad we did this, and I'm glad Nick was able to come here and hang out with us and talk about it. This is a fun popcorn, turn your brain off 80s film that they made 100,000 of. But you know what? It's still good. It's a fun watch. It's 90 minutes or however long it is of just, it's a popcorn movie. It's fun. We all need these things in our lives. Not everything needs to be Shakespeare or Titanic. We need some blow-off stuff to just relax and laugh at or have fun with. And, some people like it better than Gremlins. Like I said, Ghoulies, Gremlins, and Critters, they're all, small little creature movies. I would put this behind Ghoulies, but ahead of Gremlins. I think Ghoulies is a little more adult, a little more scary, but Critters is fun, and I like this franchise, and I like it. I know Tubi has the first 4 Critters if you want to watch them, so go find them there if you want to. So.
Yeah, I kind of gave you my thoughts on it already, but it's a fun movie. Turn your brain off and watch it. It doesn't have. Yeah, it's extremely dated, like Jeremy said. They're talking the whole Red Scare, the Russian spy satellites and whatnot. It's extremely dated, but I mean, it's still. It doesn't really matter for the plot, other than a few funny little lines from where all these old white guys are scared of Russians. But I mean, like I said, the plot of the film is little bitty aliens that eat people crash land on Earth. That's your plot. I mean, like I said, don't look for any deeper social meaning either for today or for 1986. Just experience the movie for what it is, and you're going to enjoy it. You've also got the added benefit of having Dee Wallace and Emmet Walsh, a very young Scott Grimes, who would go on to have a pretty good career. You also have one of the pictures I didn't use. You also have the very young.
I was like, you gotta have a Billy
Zane.
You gotta have you got the very young Billy Zane, who's in the movie for all of 3.5 seconds.
And his ancestor gave his life on the Titanic, and he looks just like him. Right. Crazy. That's weird.
Yeah, just turn your brain off, have some fun, enjoy this movie from an era of filmmaking gone by where people just have fun with the movie. You can't really have fun with movies like that anymore. Like a Porky's or Revenge of the Nerds. You can't have that kind of niche movie anymore without pissing anybody off. So go back to the era when you could do stuff like that. Yeah, go back to the era when you could do stuff like that and just watch the movie. Yeah. Have fun with it. Critters 2, a worthy sequel, I think. I think this one's a little bit better, but Critters 2 was a worthy sequel. 3 was all right. 4 was not good. I haven't seen anything past that. I haven't seen the web series. I haven't seen Critters Attack. So I was actually just looking for it a minute ago to see if it was on any of the streamers.
I'm gonna look those up on Shudder when we get off of here. I'm gonna watch those. I'm gonna see if it's still on there.
Well, from what I was reading, the web series was not good at all, and that while Dee Wallace is in the Critters Attacks, that when it came out about 4 or 5 years ago, she is not officially playing her role from this film. But she's playing the same role.
Aunt somebody. I forget what the name is.
Well, she says she's playing the same role, but there was legal reasons why she couldn't be Mom. She had to be Aunt Dee. Something about legal reasons.
It was Aunt.
This movie, so whatever. But I mean, bottom line is, I'll try to find that and give it a watch because I glanced at the poster and it looked interesting. A bit of a more purplish, maybe a bit more scary look to the critters, not so silly 80s prosthetic. You know what I mean?
I like the 80s prosthetic.
Yeah, but I'll try to find it, give it a watch. Maybe it's awesome. I don't know. Maybe it's awesome. Then again, maybe it's terrible. The only way I'm to find out is to watch it. But thanks to my co-host for being here and being awesome as usual. Starting with the late Dowager Countess Lady Cora. Where can the folks at home find you, ma'am?
Right here, because I'm allergic to the internet.
Probably better off. Internet gives you rash.
Yeah.
Just admit. And to the chef of the Lone Star State, my man Tex. Where can the folks at home find you, sir?
Oh, here Tuesdays and Thursdays when we do our thing, and obviously I started off with paying homage to the great Roger Corman. My recommendation this week has to be my favorite film by him, and that would be Humanoids from the Deep. Imagine if a bunch of creatures from the Black Lagoon came up to the surface, tried to mate with human women to make more of their species. There's boobs, there's blood, there's violence, and it's just an all-around fun movie. I believe it's on Shudder right now. I don't know where else you can find it. But Humanoids from the Deep. It's a lot of fun to watch, so go check that out.
And to my hetero life mate Jeremy, what do you got going on the internet, sir?
Well, now that I've kind of duct taped together this little corner of this room, I'm here Tuesday and Thursdays. Hopefully, same bat time, same bat channel. I've got everything laid out on this little desk, so hopefully I actually be able to do stuff and ruin my joke of that I'm a terrible content creator. Although I could still be a terrible content creator. I don't know, even if I try. So
you could just make a bunch of crappy content and say the same thing.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. I could still. No, he's right. I could still. Like Frank always
Oh, no, I'm not trying to insult him. I'm trying to help him out, actually.
I'm not saying you're insulting him at all.
Oh, I was just gonna take that one on the nose. No, you're right. Like I said, like Frank labels every Fortnite video. We suck at Fortnite, and there's a reason for that.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So, although half of it's not really our fault. I mean, I was playing Fallout New Vegas, and I'm like, why am I so chill? I'm like, oh, because I'm like, I know how I can handle this. I know how I can save. I can just reload this. Not when I got fucking like little Timmy there pounding fucking pixie sticks like it's cocaine and like cranking shit on me where I'm like, whatever, kid, get out of here. Whatever the kids do these days, I don't know anymore. Get off my lawn. Get out of my lobbies too.
I like it.
And on that note,
I agree.
My name's right there. It's the same on everything. You figure it out. You know how the internet works.
And to our good friend from up north, Dr. Nick the Garbage Man, what do you guys got going on over on Alex the Garbage Man on Thursday?
So Thursday, me and my co-host Alex, we are running opposition to the boys right now because I had to change my schedule. Usually we're Mondays. I don't like running opposition because I like watching you guys, and I always have you guys on, like even when I'm gaming, and then like I'll kind of listen because I'm not as big into movies as like say Alex is and you guys are, but I always try to list corporate, especially when Thurman shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I like to make sure that I put him in his place. So join us on Thursdays if you want to double screen us. We talk about just bullshit, and then also you might want to pay attention because we'll discuss what Cora was discussing. Before we went on air, I can't wait to see Alex's face.
I'm
You guys are gonna be on a list.
I'm going to formally request like a 10-minute interval on your show at some point Thursday, so I can give my side of how that story went. Because my version's going to be way better than hers. So I'll just let you know
You
that.
mean your version's going to be not the fucking truth?
That's exactly. I'm not
no.
fair.
Hey,
He's going to come be the fucking heel and just bury her hard.
I never said it was going to be true or a lie. I never clarified.
Maybe we should have a simulcast on Thursday. Just saying.
My version will be more entertaining, is what I was going to say. So we'll see what happens.
But thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you. And whenever we want to do another one.
How's the coffin tonight?
The hand's still there.
There
it is.
I love it.
And I wrecked it. Anyways, it's there. I'll have to fix it before Thursday.
There you go.
Go check out Alex the Garbage Man. Their channel is in the link in the description below. Go check them out. As for me, you will find us back here on, what is today? Today's Tuesday. You will find us back here on Thursday. We're going back to 1989, the Patrick Swayze classic Roadhouse.
Be nice.
And then after that, we're going to, on next Tuesday, a week from today, we'll be doing the new Roadhouse, the Jake Gyllenhaal version that just came out on Amazon. I got to be honest.
I think I'm going to be sick that week. I'm sorry. Specifically that day. I know it's happening.
I've been hearing better things about it lately.
Okay, I have to say something. One night I couldn't sleep. And the new Roadhouse was on Amazon Prime or something, and I watched it. It was like old Roadhouse meets like the Miami Vice movie, like with action and cinematography. It wasn't bad. It's worth it.
Like I commented, doesn't beat Patrick Swayze though.
I was
Jake Gyllenhaal was pretty comparable.
I was watching a little bit of John Campia's show earlier, and Campia had reported the story today that they have already greenlit a sequel to the Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, they're doing a sequel.
And the way they left it, yes, they could.
He was saying, he was just like, I'm not going to lie. He's like, while not nearly as magical as the original version with Patrick Swayze, he's like, it was a fun movie. He was just like, Conor McGregor, a bit of a cartoon character, a bit over the top. He's like, he was like, but he said, but the movie was just fun. He's like, so why not?
It was very different.
So I mean, I don't know.
Just saying.
I didn't like it. I don't know. I'll save it for next week.
You're not supposed to like anything.
Can I throw my 2 cents in here? Because I won't be here for the show. I think if the movie wasn't named Roadhouse and his name wasn't Dalton, I think I would have liked it. I think, but that's the problem is I went in thinking about the old, because I did enjoy the story behind it, but it's the fact that it was Roadhouse. It's Patrick Swayze. It's Terry.
They didn't have the. Yes, he said there's no Terry Funk, there's no Patrick Swayze, and there's no Sam Elliott. You don't have Roadhouse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's
Like,
sacred. That's sacred.
The best line from the whole movie is the double douche, right? And like the two
Right.
things the sequel are missing. Well, Jeremy hasn't said. I won't say it. I won't say anything. But he doesn't say
For
the double
somebody
douche.
who loves books, there is a fucking bookstore in the movie.
Yes, there is. There is.
Ooh.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna give it a watch. I mean, lately I've been hearing some better things about it, so maybe the movie's settling in, and sometimes time will change people's, even a relatively short amount of time will change people's views of a movie. So I'll give it a watch. I'm gonna go in open-minded. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm a fan of Conor McGregor as a fighter. I think he's been entertaining to watch, even though I'm not a big MMA fan. I don't know. Maybe this will be awesome. Maybe it'll be trash. I'm going to find out on my own. But we'll be here a week from today going through all that. And then it's going to be horror. I'm going to make Tex very, very happy. It's going to be House Without the Corpse with Double Free Gems. So it's going to be one giant orgasmic fest for Tex to round out the month.
Oh, good. Maybe I can finally explain to Rachel why every time I hear Freebird, I start giggling to myself, and I'm like, you don't understand what it's.
Oh my god, I can't.
If you watch Dexter, the New Blood TV series, you have another reason to go creepy with.
Is it bad that I want to be adopted into the Firefly family? Like, I would fit perfectly there. Just adopt me. Take me as one of your own. I'll be fine with it. It'll be cool. But
so, I mean, I know Frank has his intro for Tex, but I'll just start calling him the Kill Billy Tex.
Oh,
I need to get your guys' stuff that you use over on your show, Nick.
Yeah, Alex made a really good one for Tex last week. So
I need to pull that. I know you sent it. I know he sent it to Tex. Maybe I'll have Tex send it to me so I can put it up here.
I posted it. I posted it in the DM group. I'll send it to my phone. I'll text it.
I know. I need to pull it off there, so maybe I can put it up here or something like that. And
yeah.
I'll
text it to you after we get off here, so you have it. So you have it in a text message or whatever. So I'll just text it.
Yeah, I'll see if I can pull it out of there. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Certainly fun. But thanks to my co-host for being amazing. As always, we will see you guys back here a couple of days when we break down 1989 Patrick Swayze classic Roadhouse where he tears out throats. That's the kind of stuff that Tex likes to see. We will see you guys then. Until next time, adios.
Bye.
Is it just me, or does it look like the critter on this thumbnail has like a bad case of fucking what is it?
The boar?
Acne?
Gangrene or something?
Yes, fucking herpes. Yeah, herpes.
Almost like he has like a little man.
Herpes, yeah.
It could be space
So he has.
That's why they quarantine astronauts when they come back to space, in case they bring back space herpes.
Are the flowers blooming in Houston? Yes.
No. He looks like the plant in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
His eyes say
Yeah.
he's very rapey.
I know.
Not lying.
Yeah.